Started here. Welcome gamers to episode 69 of the Backlog Bastards. I'm your host this evening, one with the stars and the galaxies, the Moon Man, and this evening gamers, we be our unapologetic selves like we always are. We keep it a buck and we share our thoughts tonight on a number of topics, including, and of course, the main topic that we're going to start with. It's been swirling for a week. It's the Xbox rumors and the future of Xbox. Lots of smoke. The community's in disarray and turmoil. Of course, you have some of the blue side clapping their hands and smiling and egging on the fires, I guess you could say, stoking the fires. But a lot of people losing their shit. and we've got a bit more too.
To say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. We've got a little bit more too to cover as well. Of course, we've got, as we usually start with, I've got a couple of tidbits of news that I picked up late as well on certain things. But I got my coffee. Hope everybody else has got theirs or a nice cold beverage. Buckle up, hold on, and let's get this party started the Basterdz way. Already seeing the chat, the rockin' one. I know tonight, love, you're just passing by because you're going to a, what was it, a Toby Mac concert. So hope you go have fun and sing along. And
I'll have fun.
Yeah. I need coffee. You go to a concert, I know you don't drink alcohol, so I was gonna say grab a beer. But no, yeah. Thank you for joining us. Thanks all the lurkers so far for joining us. We appreciate all the love and the support always, each and every week. Of course, don't forget to hit that like button, share this out. It's always a great help as well. But first and foremost, just could end up just being the two of us tonight. Rye, how you been, brother? And what you been playing lately?
Great, man. Haven't, like I said, life's been going good, no complaints. You know me, I'm still sticking to the one game till I finish rule. I did a lot of the achievements in Power World. I'm going to go back to it, but I really wanted to get to Persona because I know more games are coming out. So I want to get Persona. Takes a long time it took me 2 months to beat the original game because you have to literally climb 100 levels of a tower in the game. So currently I'm chipping away and I'm at level 40 right now in the tower, doing all the social, because it's a social game too. So you'll go to a gym practice with your friends. You'll go out to a coffee or have lunch. But when you're doing that, it raises your not only your stats, but it raises your persona stats, your psych character. And it's really fun because you can kind of mix the different personas, and the main character, he has the ability where you can go, you don't have to, you have the option of going through all of the personas that you have in your inventory. So you don't have to rely on just one persona. So if you have a boss that's not weak to any of your attacks, you could switch to another persona that has a magic ability that has the weakness for that boss or that enemy, and you could switch to them and use it. It's a really great ability. They added that feature in this remake, and it wasn't in the original game. So it helps a lot, especially when you're fighting in Persona, because they have it so well balanced, the combat system, where you do just the right amount of damage for whatever you're doing. So when you're hitting them, you're not doing a lot of damage if it's not a weak attack, if it's not a strong attack where it's their weakness. So if you're not hitting their weaknesses, you're barely doing any damage. So really, you're always trying to target their weaknesses because that's how you get your maximum damage. But no, I've been really enjoying it. It's basically, as some people have said in the media, the perfect remake. It really is. I haven't had any bugs, no issues. It's been running smooth at 4K 60. It's just a great game, especially if you like JRPGs. So I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, and like you said, they do take a minute to actually get through. So it's one of those games. I mean, Persona 5 Royal, bro. That takes a minute. That can absorb your time for 70 plus hours. Hey, what's good, Timmy? Welcome in, bro. So no, it's
I think out of all the games I've ever played, Persona is one of the most time-consuming games genres I've ever played.
Right. Right. Persona just takes up so much. All of them do, man. All of them do. I mean, outside them, like Yakuza games can be like that as well.
Yeah, them too.
That they're just long. I think that's what the Japanese love, bro. They love really really long games because they love to tell a story. I find, and you look at the Persona games, you look at the Yakuza games. It really is about the story. That's why I say even with the Yakuza game, you can't. I know people do it, but you can't really afford to skip over the cutscenes because they tell a story and you're going to miss vital piece of information that could come in handy later, or you know,
You can't blast through it either, right?
no. Otherwise, if it's not going to come in handy later, at least like you'll get to a later part and say you do decide to watch a cutscene, and you'll be like, ah, what? How do we get to this point? And you've missed a whole chunk because you know what I mean. So, um, it is, man. But no, man. Great that you're digging in and you're going for it in that. But great game, man. Great game. Well, great series of games as a whole. It'd be cool to see an actual brand spanking new entry come out at some point, which I believe they're possibly working on.
The last reporting was Persona 6 is supposedly coming in 2025. It's a ways away, is what they were saying.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, oh yeah, I mean, so what? What are we in 2024? So it's only a year away. So that's
It's only about a year or so. Yeah, not too bad.
So I mean, I've been game hopping, of course. I've been treasured away still with Avatar. I've been playing some more Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon 5 because they both had some updates. But I also, as you can see, everybody on the screen because I captured it. Steam's got big demos of upcoming indie and AA titles that are inbound, and you won't just see the game that's on the screen, of course. In the what I've captured, you'll see 3 different games I've captured. So the one on the screen at the moment is Tales of Kanzara Zell, which is really really cool, man. It kind of reminds me of Prince of Persia in its style. It's that sort of 2D action platformer, beautiful looking game, made by, if you remember that guy came on stage from the actor from Raised with Wolves, who played Father, I believe his character was, and he was talking about how he enjoyed gaming with his dad, and his dad passed away, so his dad was an inspiration to make this game that you can see on the screen right now. Fantastic little demo. After this, as we continue the podcast, the second game you will see pop up is another really, really cool game called Outcast, A New Beginning. Man, I showed Trin that yesterday. The world is stunning, bro. Like, I'm talking Avatar type stunning. Very, very picturesque. But you got a jetpack, bro, and when you jetpack up the air high enough, then you glide, bro. And you could glide around. Oh man, I was having a ball just exploring this damn world. And then the shooting aspects and what you collect kind of reminds me a little of Fortnite, type of thing. Like it's really fun. And there's cool variation in the enemies as well. The level design looks really, really good. Yeah, I noticed picked up a couple of bugs because there was like a few, I don't know if they were butterflies or moths, but flying moths that I'm shooting. One got stuck in the air. But they say that at the start of the game. They say, look, this is demo, they might. But it was really, really cool. And then Welcome to Paradise, which is a zombie game. You all might have seen that shown off at one of the shows last year, where it's sort of like a top-down view, and you can control the zombies. So you beat them a bit senseless, and then you put a helmet on their head, and you can control them, and they can work for you, or they can go and kill other zombies for you, man. And that was also a bunch of fun that you'll see come up on screen. So, I mean, I've been dabbling in everything, but I really had to go and check out these demos. There is a few other demos that I haven't got around to checking yet, but I probably will later. Jawbreak is another one. Chasing the Unseen's another one. I thought looked pretty cool, so I'm going to give them a bit of a try out later. But But man, I was happy with these three so far. I could definitely say I'll be picking these three up when they come out. Um, so Welcome Paradise and this one on the screen, Tales of Kanzera, are obviously indie titles. Outcast, A New Beginning, I would say sort of like a high tier AA game. But man, it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So if you are on PC and if you got Steam, jump on this because there's like hundreds and hundreds of game demos that are what's it called? The the next celebration, I think it's called, like next something, I think it is. Where are we? They also got the Lunar New Year sale going on as well at the moment. But yeah, heaps of cool demos. Heaps of cool demos right now. But without further ado, let's get into some of these news tidbits and then get into the juicy topics. So, first little news tidbit we will get into here. Of course, I believe some countries it starts tonight, others tomorrow. Halo Season 2. And the showrunner has come out and he said he describes Season 2 as grittier, more grounded, and more visceral ride than the first season. So, we've already heard one of the Halo TV show's new actors talk up Season 2. We even heard Master Chief himself talk it up, calling it the Halo he wanted to see. But if you still aren't convinced, some higher-ups working on Paramount hit series have also chimed in. Speaking to Games Radar Plus again, the show's executive producer and Microsoft veteran Kiki Wolfkill admits the team wasn't a fan of every decision it made in Season 1, but acknowledges how the team was prepared to step up and do the best it could do to remedy that in Season 2. And before I continue, look, we all know with a lot of TV shows, Season 1 generally isn't the best. It's usually that introductory season where you're getting introduced to the characters and the story and sort of where it's going to go. So, you know, I'm not saying that it's, you know, a Season 1 of a series is not good. It's just generally the ones that follow are usually better because, you know, they pick up steam and the showrunners learn from maybe some mistakes or, you know, whatever from the first season, and they just continue to get better. So, you know, I'm sort of taking it the same way with Halo. It was a new thing for them. And, you know, obviously, like they said, they weren't happy with some of the decisions they made. So it's only Season 1. You got to put it out there and learn from it. And it's a good way to hear feedback, you know, and then you can up your game and make improvements or whatever for Season 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. So he went on to continue and say what we're able to do in Season 2 is actually remedy some of the things we would have liked to do in Season 1, but you don't really get the chance to do during the course of a season. Now, new showrunner David Weiner has also explained how Season 2 makes a swap to a much more subjective perspective in terms of narrative presentation, which results in much grittier and grounded story. He said Season 2 is in a much more subjective perspective wherein we're with our Spartans in their emotional journeys, but even in the combat and the action sequence. We are subject to the fog of war. We've never seen things that they don't see. We don't know things that they don't know. Ultimately, the result is a grittier, more grounded, more visceral ride. So, yeah, look forward to Season 2. I believe it'll get higher scores than Season 1, and I think it'll be a much better season going ahead. And I'm pretty sure is it the Fall of Reach that it's following? Is it following that storyline, Ryan, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So it should be a really, really interesting season. Okay, so then the next little news tidbit. This is an oldie but a goodie, but it's good that who's attached to it. Tim Burton is attached to direct Attack of the 50-Foot Woman remake. Gone Girl writer Gillian Flynn is also apparently on board. So Tim Burton's attached to direct a remake of the 1958 classic Attack of the 50-Foot Woman for Warner Brothers. Deadline first broke the news, which also includes the fact that Gillian Flynn, the author and screenwriter behind thrillers like Gone Girl, Sharp Objects and Dark Places, attached to write the script. According to another report from Variety, it's currently unclear how closely this reimagining will stick to the plot of the original, which followed a wealthy heiress after an encounter with an alien and turns her into a giantess. It wasn't just her suddenly massive size that was an issue, however, as it also complicated her already tumultuous relationship with her cheating husband. So while reviews were mixed at that time, back in those days, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman has gone on to become something of a cult classic, and sequel talks were sparked at the time due to its sequel talks were sparked at the time due to its lean $88,000 budget. Various parodies have cropped up over the years, including Roger Corman's 2012 film Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader. The deal would mark another collaboration between Burton and Warner Brothers, where the director is currently working on the long-awaited Beetlejuice sequel. So Flynn, who has worked with Warner Brothers in the past, having adapted her own novel Sharp Objects into a limited series for HBO, which earned her an Emmy nomination. She also adapted her hit novel Gone Girl for David Fincher's 2014 film adaptation. So two great personalities there on board for this. I remember watching when I was younger, I think it was on a VHS tape too, this movie, the original Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. So I think with the way technology is now is a really good time to do a remake of it, and I think it's in good hands with Tim Burton. And this one might get your blood flowing, Ryan. So Kung Fu remake will star Donnie Yen in David Carradine's role with Bullet Train director at the helm. Yes. So Donnie Yen, star of the movies, including IP Man and John Wick Chapter 4, taking on a classic martial arts role. According to a new report on Deadline, Yen will play Kwai Chang Kane in a remake of Kung Fu, the classic 70s martial arts series that starred David Carradine. Bullet Train director David Leitch, who also produced John Wick, is looking to direct the movie. Stephen Chin.
Oh my God, sign me up right away.
Yes, bro. Stephen Chin, who made War Dogs, will write the script for it. They said Donnie Yen is both an immensely talented actor and an action film legend, and it's a privilege to have a true martial arts master leading this global film, Leitch said in a statement. With Donnie in place as our leading man, it will be a thrill to collaborate with him, our creative partners, and Universal in reimagining this beloved story for the big screen. As we know, Yen, who has starred in numerous martial arts films over the years, won acclaim for his role as Kane in 2023's John Wick Chapter 4. The original was released in 1972. Kung Fu was a popular series about a Shaolin monk wandering the Old West. Bruce Lee was reportedly considered for the original role, but ultimately passed over for Carradine. Carradine, who also starred in Kill Bill, unfortunately died in 2009. Kung Fu has seen several revivals over the years, including a 90s cop drama titled Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, in which Kwai Chang Kane helps his son solve mysteries. But as for a theatrical remake, it does not yet have a release date, but we're thinking 2025 or 2020. So that's awesome, man. I loved David. I loved back in the day Carradine's Kung Fu, bro. Like it was freaking nuts, and he was pretty cool in that role, man. So it's going to be cool to see Donnie Yen take on this role. It's going to be bonkers, absolutely bonkers. All right. Now we get into some juicy discussion.
Spice.
Yeah, I made this first. This is going to be a lengthy discussion. That's why I made it first. Because we can honestly whole hour. Because there is a bit to unpack too. Okay, so before we get into full-blown discussion, so Xbox fans have been urged to remain calm. This coming from pure Xbox, as emotions run wild on social media. So it hasn't exactly been a gentle start of the week for those unaware, which I don't think I think most people are aware of what's going on in Xbox land. The rumors and speculation about various first-party Xbox exclusive jumping to other platforms has caused all sorts of drama over the past couple of days. In fact, the level of upset has been so severe that it's even led to some Xbox owners selling their consoles and influencers denouncing their support for the brand. Keep in mind, once again, nothing has been officially announced by Microsoft as of yet. Regardless of, there is quite a lot of smoke. And as anybody likes to say, where there's a lot of smoke, there is generally fire. However, again, nothing official just yet until Monday. In response, The Verge's Tom Warren has stressed that just because Microsoft is considering bringing certain Xbox games over to PS5, it doesn't mean every game will make the jump. The Verge was the outlet that mentioned about Indiana Jones, for example. Just before I continue, although to note, if that is a game, just like if Blade is a game that ends up on PlayStation, that will not be Microsoft's decision. That will be a Marvel Disney decision. It's their IP. So, for example, but Warren advises it's only consideration and not a full or final thing. Other games that have been mentioned, of course, we've seen Hi-Fi Rush, we've seen Grounded, we've seen Psychonauts 2, we've seen Sea of Thieves, and we've seen a bunch of others as well. So regardless of what happens next, emotions will probably continue to run wild on social media in the days leading up to Monday's speech from whoever's going to deliver the speech. And so I don't know if that's going to be Phil, if it's going to be Sarah. We'll have to wait and see. And of course, even at Pure Xbox, they themselves, you know, obviously being an Xbox news site, they're conflicted about Xbox exclusives potentially going to PS5. So obviously, you know, they said like we should start by adding the caveat that at the time of writing, we've not heard anything obviously official by Microsoft. These are just rumors at the moment and speculation at the moment. So just as Pure Xbox said, just cool the jets at the moment. I know that's very hard for some to do. But however, if this comes to fruition, they say, in some form, and we do start to see Xbox first-party titles move over to PS5, we reckon there's quite a strong case for Microsoft to go in either direction, to be honest. Basically, we're fence-sitting. But we think it's more than justified in this instance. First off, there are lots of positives that could arise from bringing some of these games over to PlayStation. Millions of players will get to access some of Xbox's biggest and best games, and that's a good thing for an industry that's all too often at conflict over exclusive video games on particular plastic boxes. And to make note, for those that actually pay attention to Phil Spencer's speeches, something he has continuously stood by, he does not like exclusives. If he had it his way, every game on this planet would be everywhere. For every gamer, doesn't matter where you game. And that is a fact. He has said that numerous times. So, before I continue, that's another thing I want to point out. I didn't get some people's shock value at, you know, all these rumors and that, like, how could Microsoft do this? When Phil Spencer himself has said numerous times, he doesn't like exclusives. He would like games everywhere. He wants, and then what's he followed it up when he says he doesn't like exclusives? It's something along the lines, I don't think this is word for word his quote, but Ryan will know exactly what I'm talking about. He says something along the lines of, when games are everywhere and everyone plays, we all win, right? We're all happy, basically, right? So that's why when this started building up, I was like, well, this kind of falls into Phil's philosophy. It really does, of what he wants. Now, obviously, he has no control over what Sony does with their games. He has no control over what Nintendo does with their games. But he does have somewhat control, although he can be overruled by investors and Satya, over Xbox, right? And what they do with their games. So the other thing is you've then got to think that in a world where mass layoffs are becoming the norm in this industry, including over at Microsoft itself. They literally just got rid of almost 2,000 people. Our move to bring Xbox titles to PS5 will bring in lots more extra cash and potentially save hundreds of jobs. Yes, Microsoft could take more of a hit given its recent company valuation, but that's not the reality of business. Extra revenue coming in from the PlayStation community could be a great thing for these studios, their workers, and their upcoming projects. That extends even further as well. Microsoft is doing a pretty good job of bringing variety to the platform right now in terms of what's in development at Xbox, and a bigger pool of potential players could mean more risks are taken by Xbox teams. Sure, this isn't a guarantee, but if you have a bigger chance at success with the PlayStation community on board, then we might see even more unique, varied titles come out of Xbox headquarters, and that's a good thing for all gamers in general. Of course, though, such a move to make Xbox a more open platform similar to PC wouldn't be all sunshine and roses. If we started to see a decent amount of exclusives move over, then the acquisition of, then the question of, do we actually need Xbox consoles would start cropping up more often than not, especially given recent reports of flatlining hardware sales for Team Green, and including in all these rumours that they may have changed their stance on bringing out their console in 2026 due to the flatlining of their hardware. We have a huge attachment to each Xbox console generation so far, and we'd be sad if Microsoft ever moved away from that. So whether they fully swing into third party, they half swing into it, or at least dip their toe into it, we do believe here at Pure Xbox that at least some of these rumors are going to come to fruition. Other little bits of information coming in too. Starfield, Indiana Jones, and many more could be heading to PS5. Could this be the start of a new multi-platform push from Xbox? So, as we've seen over the past week, you've come across the chatter on social media, but some big games that have been mentioned is Starfield and Indiana Jones, potentially heading to PS5, and it originates from a variety of different sources. The rumor about Starfield is coming from Xbox Era, which those boys are pretty damn reliable with their sources and news. I will say that when it comes to Xbox Era, which says that according to its sources, Xbox is planning to bring the game to PS5 after the release of the Shattered Space expansion later this year. Why I could actually see that happening, I do believe there was already a PlayStation Starfield version made or in the process of being made. So the code would probably still be there. We know it was heading to PlayStation before the acquisition. That to me wouldn't be a shock to me. Kind of makes sense. And if they are looking at moving games, I've been thinking about this all week long. Bethesda games and Activision games, because before being acquired, their games were everywhere, right? That would make sense. Any game coming out of Activision Studios or any game coming from Bethesda Studios, I could possibly see going over to PlayStation, right? I even went as far as to thinking this, right? I know, hey, what's good, Rourke? What's good, Cozy? What's good? Great to see you, sis. I thought about this. Like, you take Elder Scrolls 6, for example, right? That, while it's a new entry into Elder Scrolls, it isn't a brand spanking new IP. And Elder Scrolls previously had been on PlayStation. So I could see Elder Scrolls 6 going over there. Now, they've said new IPs, so you take new IP, for example, as, I know these might not all be Bethesda games, but like Clockwork Revolution, Avowed, and South of Midnight, right? They're new IP that have never been, they're brand spanking new, so they've never been, so that could be a different approach, and they say, okay, we're going to keep them exclusive, right? But I think if it's an IP that's been somewhere before, even if it is a sequel to the IP, you take Hellblade 2. Maybe they take Hellblade 2 over to PlayStation. Why? I've mentioned it to a few people, and they're like, why would they do that? Hellblade 1 was on PlayStation. So why wouldn't they? You know, if it's a game that they're going to look at, right? Plus, it's a game that would make sense because it's the type of game that the PlayStation fans would eat up and pay the $70 for because it fits their gaming need. You know, they're more a single player game, right? They always have been. I'm not saying that all PlayStation gamers don't do multiplayer, but they're more known to play those single player story driven games, which Hellblade fits right into. So the other rumor that was coming from The Verge and Tom Warren, he was reporting that there's consideration and talks about bringing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to PS5. That it appears a new multi-platform approach for certain Xbox games is emerging inside Microsoft. This is where I'm saying there could be at least a half swing into third party. Not a full swing, but at least a half swing to see how they go. Maybe then go full swing later if it looks like it's, you know, hugely beneficial. Because where a lot of people, and Ryan will probably agree with me at least on this, even if he disagrees with me on a couple other things, but a lot of these gamers and the fanboys and even some of the podcasts out there that are all having a sook and a whinge all week, they're only thinking about themselves and from their perspective. I myself put myself in their shoes, in a business shoes, not only that, in investors' shoes. Investors don't give a crap about what an individual wants. They want their return. They want to maximize on their return. So if going multi-platform with some games, or even going, I'll just hypothetically, again, this is not factual, could end up being factual, but it's a hypothetical right now. If Microsoft decides they want to go full third party, I've said time and time again, where is the most money made in gaming? Now think about it for a second. Where is the not in exclusives. Third party. Your EAs, your Rockstar, your 2Ks, right? So on and so forth, that are big third party developers and publishers. They make more money than anybody. Why? Because their content is everywhere. It's on mobile, it's on PC, it's on PlayStation, it's on Nintendo, it's on Xbox. Just there's 5 things that their stuff is on, right? So it could make a lot of sense for a lot of variety of reasons, right? And so it wouldn't shock me, you know. It really wouldn't shock me that they could be heading in the direction like Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush. I said initially when it was those 2 games initially being mentioned, Hi-Fi Rush, one comes from a Bethesda studio, and Bethesda was multi-plat before, and it's only a AA game. Okay, kind of makes sense. It really does kind of fit a Nintendo Switch. I could see it, you know, being over there seamlessly. It looks like a Switch game, you know, that you'd play on a Switch. Sea of Thieves makes a lot of sense from the because it's a live service, right? You want as many people playing that as possibly can, like any live service game, right? There is some games I couldn't see going like that. Like I couldn't see Microsoft Flight Simulator going anywhere other than staying on Xbox and PC. One, because you got Microsoft in the name, and I just don't think PlayStation would have it over there. The other lot of game that I think is safe, and I said to Trin before we went live, I don't see Forza going over there. Even if Microsoft said, hey, we want to give you Forza, I think PlayStation would say, no, thank you, we've got Gran Turismo. So I don't think the Forza series would go over there.
No, the key are always going to stay exclusive, you know, Fable, Halo. Forza,
yeah, well, look, although there's
opinion.
one, I'm going to get to one.
Maybe Halo.
No,
Halo's a multiplayer live service game.
No, this is what I was going to say. All right, so I had this discussion with Trent. So Cliffy B and the other game that's been big on talks was Gears of War. All right. Now, why I think that would be a better choice to take over there over Halo, Gears would fit PlayStation gamers. Halo would not. Right? Gears, as an IP, is in a heck of a lot more positive light, positive situation. Never has had a bad game. Right? Halo 5, pretty much you could say flopped. Halo Infinite got jumbled, bungled, stumbled out of the gate. Horrible way to launch it. Halo as an IP outside the TV show isn't really in a good state. Right? I also said to Trin, a lot of gamers that bought Gears bought it for the story. And the multiplayer was kind of secondary. Which again...
And it's third person.
Right, yes, right? But that fits, again, that PlayStation mold. Halo, though, most people buy Halo for the multiplayer. right? Yeah, they play the story, but they buy it for the multiplayer, right? PlayStation gamers are not really known to be multiplayer games. I'm not saying that they don't play multi, but they're not known for it. And it hasn't been ingrained in them from Sony. Single player has. So that's when Gears started cropping up. And I thought, you know what? It would be a perfect game to take over there. I think they'd eat it up. Again, Microsoft to be making hand over fist on every single call. You got to remember, I know Sony will get that little cut because Microsoft be putting it over there, but they'd be eating it up over there. They really would. And I think, again, I was putting myself in a PlayStation gamer's shoes for a moment. If I had a choice, they did take both a Gears and a Halo over there. I would be buying Gears before I'd be buying Halo. And they'd probably see better sales number on the Gears game than they would the Halo game over there. That's just my perspective on it. Right? So I've been putting myself in a lot of different shoes as I've gone over thinking about this. And yeah, I mean, I had my fun all through the week on social media because, you know, there was a lot of just... You had some Xbox, and I'm going to say real hardcore fanboys that were, I'm not mentioning names, but Ryan will know exactly who I'm talking about, that took videos themselves in their car, almost bawling their eyes out. This is fucking video games, right? Right? It's not, you haven't lost a loved one, all right? But that's how some people were acting.
One guy actually destroyed his Series X. He smashed it to pieces.
Yeah. Other people had sold it, right? Their Series X. Tim Dog and a whole bunch of others have denounced it. He's been doing spaces all week. Like, you know, I love Tim Dog. He always gives me a good laugh. But, yeah, it was just weird. And then, look, an Xbox indie developer has come out and shared their concerns following the Reeks rumors, right? So it was the developer, including the developer behind 2022 Xbox indie game Brock the Investigator, who has revealed some of his personal concerns about the future. Here's what he had to say in one of his Twitter posts. Are we assisting the end of Xbox's hardware platform? Transforming into a weird mix of software platform and third party. If the only reason for players to buy a Xbox is simply Game Pass, why would an indie like me port his games if I can't get them into Game Pass? I also see a lot of people retweet, reminder, I wanted to have my latest game on Game Pass, but was denied, no reason given besides slots are limited, considering the sales on Xbox are way lower than on any other platform. Plus that news, I legitimately wonder if it's worth porting my next game there at all. Unless Microsoft has plans to open more slots for Game Pass and have games stay forever on a service, then I may not be interested anymore in working with Microsoft. Now, the developer then made a later tweet and later clarified that he hasn't made a decision yet either way on whether to stop porting his games to Xbox in the future, but he fears that if Game Pass becomes the only reason to buy an Xbox, he'll ultimately have no choice but to bounce. So to just stop, you know, doing it. Then we've got, as I said, Microsoft's reportedly considering bringing Gears to PlayStation. So this is coming from Jeff Grubb, who was elaborating on recent claims that Microsoft is working on a new initiative to release more Xbox exclusive games on other console platforms. As we're well aware, over the weekend it was claimed that Bethesda Starfield might be the first, and its upcoming Indiana Jones game could follow. In addition to previously rumoured Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded and Sea of Thieves ports to PlayStation. The other one, Jeff said, that I've heard that's definitely under consideration, I do stress under consideration, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it is definitely in talks, is Gears of War. He said Gears of War is being very, very heavily considered for this. Grubb also said that Microsoft was at one point planning to publicly explain its new initiative at the end of February, but that given the mounting speculation and what's gone on in social platforms this week and the uproar, there's a chance that the official announcement could be brought forward, which we now know it has, happening next Monday. He said, the other thing I can corroborate is a rumor that there will be another something happening at the end of February or start of March, where they may go even into even more detail than what they will on Monday. But that is something that is definitely being spoken about too. So, according to Microsoft, Gears of War has sold over 22 million units and grossed over $1 billion when the company acquired the franchise from Epic Games. Since buying the IP, Xbox has released two mainline series entries in the form of 2016's Gears of War 4 and 2019's Gears of War 5, both of which were developed by the Coalition, as well as Gears of War Ultimate Edition and the turn-based tactics spin-off Gears Tactics. So it would be interesting, as I said, I know Cliffy B's even been getting in on the discussion of that. So it's a game that I could see fits the mold, as I just mentioned. And then, of course, major Xbox influencers have pulled support over multi-platform rumours. Several notable Xbox influencers have publicly withdrawn their support for the brand, following media reports that claiming that Xbox first-party Xbox games could soon start appearing on PlayStation. And Cozy said most PlayStation gamers are just playing Fortnite, COD, and Sport. Yet you're not wrong. They're always at the top of the chart, sis. They're always at the top of the chart. Although not yet officially confirmed, the reports have led to major backlash within the Xbox community, including infighting, and including from notable Xbox influencers with large followings who are unhappy that games previously marketed as Xbox exclusives could very well be made available on other console platforms. Notably, Xbox influencer TLOU took to the Reset Error forum to confirm that they were taking steps to wind down their account following all the reports. TLOU is one of the most well-known personalities in the Xbox community with over 158,000 followers on X, including Microsoft's gaming boss Phil Spencer, Xbox president Sarah Bond, and virtually its entire marketing PR leadership team following him. The account is known for creating Fox Xbox marketing images, which are regularly shared by Xbox's bosses. On Monday, TLOU said the supposed change in strategy from Microsoft had made them reconsider their support for the Xbox brand. He says, this time, listening will not be enough. This time, execution, credibility in connection to previously made statements, and moving towards fans is all that will matter. For me, for your brand, and for your community. Then, of course, you had, as I said, Mr. Riskett was on there, nearly crying in his car. He was almost in tears. I literally thought the poor guy had...
I know, I watched.
Yeah, I literally thought the poor guy had lost a family member and that. And he looks devastated. Absolutely devastated, which, again, I do stress this too as I continue this before we get into our full discussion. Even if they decide that this is what they're doing, that doesn't mean anything. Like, it's not like, oh, this is going over to PlayStation and it's being taken away from X. It's still going to be on Xbox.
They're acting like it's the death of Xbox. Yeah.
So I'm just going to use hypothetical again, example. Starfield goes over there. Well, Starfield's still going to be in Game Pass. You're still going to be able to pay $15 and Starfield's going to be there. While the gamer on X platform over here is going to be paying $70. Why? Because Game Pass ain't over on that platform. So they have to pay full price, right? Doesn't matter what game it's going to be. It's not being taken, nothing's being taken away. It's just going to go elsewhere so they can maximize profits. Again, you got to think business sense again. Investors, pressure from investors, they want to make their $70 billion back, but then they also want to see profit as well. Right, they've just spent money. I know they're a $3 trillion company, so it's not like they're going to collapse anytime soon. But that doesn't mean that none of them love money. They all love money, especially those investors, especially Satya Nadella. And if they can make more money by doing this, they're going to do it. If it makes sense from a business sense and makes sense from a money sense, they're going to do it. They're not going to care what a consumer thinks. You know, it's not about what you know what I mean? Like, I said to Trent, like, I'll just say Xbox user, right? We won't give a name to him, but right? Oh, you know, I'm crying and Xbox is done, right? They can't do this. They're not going to give a shit. because that's your opinion. That's only affecting you. You're allowing it to affect you, but that's affecting. They're not going to care about that. The investors want their money. That's all they want. And I've said the whole week long. I said these corporations look at all of us as a herd of cattle, right? Where we all got dollar signs at the top of the head. The only thing that they give a shit about is the money that comes out of our wallet and goes into their pocket. That's it. They're not our friend. They're not here to do the right thing by us. They're here to do the right thing by the business and the right thing for their investors, and what's going to make them the most money. That's just corporations, man. It doesn't need to be even Microsoft, Sony. They all do the same thing. They don't care about the individual consumer. They just want to make the most profit they can, and maximizing profits is always a big thing, as anybody that knows well aware. So, you know, the baseline for being Clover always was the trust and credibility of the brand, I support, and my excitement for the path ahead. All of these three are at an all-time low right now, he said. He says, so I've made the decision, depending on what's next or its scale, to take significant steps back and reduce the Clover persona, or eventually even retire it. We've also seen Idle Sloth now revert from doing all the Xbox news that he's been doing to doing movie news. He's turning into a movie platform on X, showcasing all latest trailers. Then we've had Tim Dog, another notable Xbox influencer with 82,000 followers, again including Phil Spencer, Xbox's marketing leads and the official Xbox account who follow him, made a more dramatic declaration on Monday, streaming a 7-hour Spaces audio discussion on X under the headline, I'm not an Xbox fanboy anymore. It's so easy to see Xbox is killing its hardware and putting a stake in the heart of it by doing this, he said, and there's no going back, it's dead. Well, one thing I will agree with a statement there. Look, I've said this whole time. They don't give a crap about console. They really don't. Okay? They put themselves, and this is all on them, mind you, and I know Ryan will agree with this. This is all their own fault. The hole they put themselves
there, buddy.
in.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. The hole they put themselves in last generation, right? Right? That's where it started. Then this generation started very slow. They've never bothered trying to market their console. And even when they've talked about the console, what have they said? Oh, we made the console, but this is their own words, basically. We don't care if you buy it. We don't need you to buy it. Doesn't matter if you buy it. You don't need our console. Who the heck makes a console and then goes ahead and says that? If they're in the business of console. So they killed themselves there, right? 2022, no games, killed them, right? Everybody knows right now, all their games, I'm just talking about Microsoft's games here, you can play them on an app on a Samsung TV right now. You can play them on a tablet. You can play it on a handheld device like the ROG or the Steam Deck, etc., etc. You can play it on a PC, right? You can stream pretty much on anything, even a little screen on a damn fridge, right? What are all these devices? What aren't these devices? They're not an Xbox console. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit, right? They haven't cared about that for a while. Apart from all that of what I just mentioned, Phil himself admitted, he waved the white flag after Redfall last year and admitted, we can't do much in console space. We're never going to win. We're never even going to claw back. We're never going to catch up. We're not going to be able to compete in consoles with Sony and Nintendo. Therefore, we've changed our business strategy. So again, which all of this, again, plays into these rumors. Again, it's just called paying attention and, you know, really listening to what Phil has said or Tim Stewart's even said, right?
It's not abandoning the console, it's just evolving their strategy beyond the console.
So, and I've said for the longest time, right? They really should. This doesn't mean that they still can't have exclusive, but they really should stop hardware, except for the controllers. I know when it comes to hardware, their controllers sell in mass. That's the hardware that sells for it.
Breakfast
right?
stuff?
That sells like no tomorrow, right? Still make your controllers, but I don't think you should waste production costs or time and effort making consoles that nobody really wants, except this tiny, small little portion. You know, I said it on last week's podcast, right? You go stand in a brick and mortar. Everybody listening right now, go whenever you get an hour's free time, go and stand in a store, right? And see when a person comes into the gaming section or a parent comes into the gaming section, if they're coming in there for a console, what they're leaving with. 9 times out of 10, it'll be a PlayStation 5 or 4, or it'll be a Nintendo Switch. One in a blue moon, will it be a freaking Xbox? Right? You go into some said stores, you go to the gaming section. There's stuff all PlayStations on the shelves, there's stuff all Switches on the shelves, but there's a mountain of freaking Xbox consoles. This is just facts. Even if you're a hardcore Xbox fanboy or Xbox guy, it's just facts. I'm sorry to burst the bubble, but it is. It's just the truth. So this is another reason they really shouldn't be in consoles anymore, at least from that perspective. Stick to your cloud gaming strategy. Stick with your Game Pass, right? You can still have exclusives for streamers. I mean, you know, you take... I know it's not around anymore, but you take Google Stadia. It didn't have a freaking console. It just had a controller. You take Amazon Luna. It doesn't have a hardware console. You could go that similar route and still have exclusives. And I think they're better off doing that because they're just wasting money on production costs on a console that nobody's barely buying. It's not shifting the needle. I tell you what, if I was one of the big investors, that's one of the first things I said. I want you to stop making consoles because I'm sick of seeing money go out. I want money coming to me because I'm a greedy motherfucker, right? It's an investor, right? They've invested a lot of money. That's what they care about. They don't care about anything else. They get dollar signs, right? Dollar bill, y'all, right? So again, that's what I'm saying. You got to put yourself in investor shoes. I don't want to see the money keep going out in this, right? You know, I even said to Trin, if I'm an investor in that company, okay, I'd be okay for a little while seeing a loss on certain things. If the bigger picture was a little bit later on down the track, it was going to be beneficial and it was going to maximize my profits for my fucking investment. But the console is not doing that. It's just a constant loss. Even with this little 3% little rise that they just recently had, that was the first time ever that's ever happened, and it may not ever happen again. So it's not a reliable source there. They can make more money out of their controllers and out of their services you can maximize the profits of than you will over a lost cause. It really is. It's a lost cause. The hardcore Xbox gamer sure might pick up your console, but outside that, nobody's buying them. A mother or a father going in buying a console for their kid, they're not buying an Xbox. 90% of the time they're not. It's just facts. 90% of the time they're not. Why? Because the other two brands are freaking absolute global juggernaut. The other two brands put out their consoles and didn't come out and say, we don't want you to buy it. They made damn sure that they marketed the hell out of it and got you to buy it and gave you reasons to buy it. We want you to buy it was Sony and Nintendo's strategy. Microsoft's has been, we don't care. We don't need you to have it. We just need you in our ecosystem. And here are the ways to do it. And the minute they really said that was, as far as I'm concerned, the death nail in the console. It really was. And we know that Phil and co, they look 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years into the future. When you start getting up to around that 15 plus into the future, there's not going to be consoles. There's just not. Because everything is going to truly evolve. I've said time and time again, there'll be one more lot of consoles. Even for Sony too. There'll be one more lot of consoles. Yeah, good. And that that'll be a 10-year generation. By the end of that 10-year generation, the internet infrastructure everywhere is going to be where it needs to be for cloud gaming to completely take off. And everybody will have a device in their home, whether it be a television, whether it be an iPad, or another sort of similar device, whether it be a ROG Ally, whether it be a Lenovo, whether it be a Steam Deck, you name it, there. PC, laptop, Surface Pro, I could go on and on, right? And then, you know, another tweet he added later too, Tim Dog, by the way, said, Xbox could have killed Game Pass. Say buy our exclusives and focus on our hardware, and that's 100% the better idea. Say let's kill exclusives, but instead they say let's kill exclusives and put Halo on PS5. The outrage would be half of this, and guess what? You might be back to having a healthy business. But we know we're past that, even with his little statement there. The console's done. Like I put a tweet out. They're done. It's finished. It's over when it comes to the console market for Microsoft. Not in other areas, as I said, Game Pass, streaming, cloud, etc., 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 and their services. But for the just console, it's done. It's done. It really is, and people need to come to that realization. It's over. Like that, Phil said it himself. They've got no hope, no chance. So they have to change strategy. That's why you've seen them with their change in strategy. The consoles become secondary, if not third. It's third now. Right now, mobile, number one priority. Especially now they got King. Number two, PC and all their services is at number two. Number three, the Xbox console. And that's how I guarantee on their boards they've prioritized it. Why? Because it makes more sense going forward. So you also had YouTuber and big time Xbox gamer and fanboy Doc Dark, self-proclaimed console war content creator. He posted a video in which he sang for 3 minutes about the situation. I seen that too. Oh, he gave me a good laugh. I've got to shout out Doc though, because he is freaking hilarious. He's like Alex. Oh no, it's Alex. They're just freaking hilarious. He says, I pray to God that you remember the beginning of this generation when we had a chance. Starts Doc's original song. Everything was lined up, but now it looks like it's over, he continued, holding aloft the Series S console. I shouldn't be crying, but I just can't let it go. Let it go. I can't stop thinking about all the games we should have played that we never played. And that's what he literally saying. Then we had Xbox influencer Kid Smooth, another ex-user followed by Xbox executives, change his Twitter banner to a logo reading F Xbox. Xbox is doomed, he wrote. If they're expecting PlayStation and Nintendo to buy Xbox games, they're in for a rude awakening. Well, what I will say to him, with the amount of freaking pleading and begging that we've seen from PlayStation guys for certain Xbox games, right? Oh, they'll play them. You just have to make sure you're sending over the right games over there. As I said, Starfield they'll play. It's a single player story driven game. They'll play that, right? They'll play that. That's right up their freaking alley, right? Right up their alley. They only hated on it because it wasn't on their console, but they will play it. I can guarantee you they will play that game. Elsewhere, some social media users have posted tweets stating that they're trading their consoles in. I think it was young Kuru yesterday, I believe. He went to GameStop. I had to laugh at him, though. He went to GameStop.
Traded all in for Steam card.
No, well, Alex had him in his latest video, man. And all he got from selling his Series X and a bunch of game was under. He couldn't even get over $400. $398.65 it said on the receipt. What did Alex say? A 60% hole. He's like, you lost 60% of the money you spent. Like, damn, right? And so he sold it. He said he was done. Goodbye. See you later. Bye-bye, he says. And in more disturbing turn, unrelated to any of the influencers mentioned in this story, Xbox's senior media manager shared an image showing a message in which an anonymous user wished him harm over the situation. Which was, I don't know who that, which Xbox exec that was, but I do remember seeing it. It was a senior media, or not exec, but senior media manager. But yeah, then another person was Adapt. Has been a long-standing Xbox fan. He's now traded it in for a PS5. So a lot of people said, "Hey, Xbox P3, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, take note of these reactions." So, as we know, with speculation continue to build, Phil released a statement telling fans that more will become clear next week. Well, his vague statement said, "We're listening and we hear you, and we'll be planning a business update event for Monday." So, should recent reports prove to be accurate, on the surface, the move would represent a significant change in Microsoft's gaming strategy, which has previously seen it keep its biggest new first-party releases exclusive to its consoles. Now they could be taking a somewhat third-party approach. To what type of degree or length, we do not know at this time. So, man, a lot to unpack. Let's discuss. Yobi, hey, what's good, Yobi? See you in the chat there now, brother.
Man, I've been thinking about it even since the whole FTC saga. I don't think I've ever seen the amount of meltdowns, cancellations, quitting, leaving, retiring, all because of a widespread rumor of plans, potential plans that are not even they're not even 100% confirmed that is the plan. Like nobody knows the plan except Microsoft. Actually, according to some rumors and some theories, is that apparently the leaker within the company was upset with the directions they were going, so they purposely leaked it to get the fans and everyone else to react.
Maybe this could be the same leaker possibly that did it with the Xbox Live back in the day, and they saw the outrage to say, "Hey, look," to try and prove what they were saying to their bosses. You don't want to believe me or take my word for it. Look at the community run. And you see
they were actually planning this business event, not right now. It was actually supposed to happen, according to Tom Warren, about a month from now, but because of the leaker and this whole like backlash, they pushed it up to this week. And the reason why they're waiting until next week is I think they don't even know what the plan is now. They're trying to scramble and go back to the drawing board.
Well, first thing I'll just quickly say, look, this is how everybody should be, like Yobi said in the chat, and I've said the same thing. At the end of the day, it's not going to do me any good raising hell, he says. It is what it is. He may not agree with it, but as a business, he understands, right? And that's what I said. All these gamers or fanboys or influencers, Xbox-centric podcast, whatever you want to call them, a variety of them, right? They all reacted from their own perspective. They didn't, like I've done, they didn't put themselves in other people's shoes. And at the end of the day, that's, it doesn't matter what we think in reality, right? It did when it was come to raising prices of Xbox Live and that. But this is a much bigger thing that...
a whole different ballgame now, right?
And this doesn't directly affect the Xbox consumer. It doesn't. Because, as I said, I swear to God, some of these people, they were crying and really kicking the hornet's nest up and getting angry and that. They're sitting there thinking in their heads, I'm sure, that, if this gets put over to play, it's getting taken away from me. But it's not going anywhere. It's, as I said before, it's still going to be in Game Pass. It's just going to go somewhere else, so they've got a broader reach and they're making more money. In reality, you should be sitting back having a good old laugh like, okay, Starfield's over there. Well, I'm paying $15 for Starfield. They're paying $70 over there, right? That's what I'd be doing. I'd be laughing about it. But at the end of the day, you're still going to get said game cheaper, a hell of a lot cheaper, than what the person on PlayStation's going to be getting. You know what I mean? And so
They want the exclusivity. Actually, Furukawa in the investor meeting even stressed how important Nintendo exclusives are. So I think, in retrospect, they're right in that regard because my whole thing is I think they need to approach it the way that they said they were going to on a case by case basis, like depending on the game. Like, for example, like I think with Activision and Blizzard, the multiplayer games make sense, right? With Bethesda, the games that were multiplayer or multi-platform before, that makes sense, right?
right,
But
yeah.
single player experiences, new IP that are single player, I think that should still stay exclusive. Like that strategy makes more sense to me
But
than to bring all of their. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, for example, you would agree with Starfield going over there because we know, well, me and you at least know, so there's more people.
But here's my thing against that. Todd Howard said there was never a Starfield version, so they would literally have to build it from scratch, right? Because they've adamantly said there was only ever an Xbox and PC version. There was never a PlayStation version. So just if you think about it, like development time, they would need the whole team, right? Which would take them off,
but
the shattered space.
His words contradicted Pete Hines because see, Pete Hines said that there was originally a PlayStation version in the works before they got bought, and if you remember, he got real pissed off at all of a sudden their games.
He wanted to release it on PlayStation, right?
that would, So I don't know. Maybe they had started to build, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe there's a bit of code for it still there, and I mean they would have. Since they were multi-platform, they would have a PlayStation dev kit, right?
But another angle you got to look at is let's go back to the start of the FTC saga until now, and the way that Sony's reacted with how they communicate with Microsoft, how they do business, how they start a meeting. It seems to me like the relationship is very sour right now. It's not there. I just don't see why Microsoft would work with them because they've even when they've offered to work with them, Sony's flat adamantly denied to help to like work with them.
They've worked against them.
I mean, they have, but I mean, like, I feel like I don't know. It's just kind of rocky there. I don't know how that would work. Like, if that would factor in.
Well, maybe the relationship could get better now. Like Jeff Grubb, I think it was Jeff Grubb or someone along those lines. Now that Jim Ryan is out of the picture. Maybe the new leadership over there has a different thoughts and isn't so vindictive, I guess.
They view Microsoft as their enemy, basically, like as their main competitor.
It's like it's a war. So no, it's like it's video games.
Why would they help them in any way? They would be helping them by letting them have their game on their platform. I don't know.
They'd be making a 20 or 30% cut on every game sold. I mean, that's still a profit for them. So they would be making money themselves out of it. And so it'd be like 70-30. So say, okay, I'm just going to use Starfield, for example. Starfield goes over there. For every copy sold, 70% to Microsoft, 30% to Sony. So they'd still be making money off of it. So they might, that's where they might come around on something like that with this leadership. At the end of the day, they've got debts that they got to pay too. So if that's going to bring themselves some more income, play around with and use, I think they'll jump on it. You know what I mean? Knowing that they still get a 30% cut, right? So that'd be
Is it mobile and PC enough though? I mean, this is their whole focus. That's why they got King.
I would have thought so.
Store.
But then you think about it, and I said this to Trin, and then I'm just going to quickly run through what Yobi said here, because I promised brother I'd read his comments out. But I said to Trin, they said, I think it was Phil, that they want to reach every single gamer on this planet. Now, whilst PC and mobile is huge, that's still not every single gamer. There's a huge basis on PlayStation and Nintendo. If you want to reach the billions and billions of gamers you want to reach. If you want to reach every single gamer on the planet, then you have to have your games everywhere to do that. Yes, you can reach maybe 1 billion if you're just having the Xbox, people on Xbox, people on PC, people on mobile, a little bit over 1 billion, maybe 2 billion or something like that. But you could reach double that if you include the other two fan bases. You know. But before I continue, Yobi says from the top, he said, honestly, it sucks for the fanboys, but me personally, I honestly always will be a supporter for Microsoft. Microsoft Xbox was my first console. Doesn't bother me at all. I just want my Xbox handheld, and I'm fine. Also, as soon as Xbox made more money than Windows, everything changed after that. As a business, they don't care about your feelings. They just want their money. Thank you. Yes, I've been saying they don't care about your feelings. They want your money. That's right. As long as I'm happy, he says, with Xbox, I will continue to do business with them. Keep me happy, I'll keep you happy. Simple as that. Exactly. And at the end of the day, they want to take some games somewhere. They're not being taken away from you. So they're still going to be there. I read that one, and then he said, I still be here with Xbox as my main ecosystem and the rest of my consoles and PC as well. See, the man, this man's smart. He got himself covered. He got everything. He says, I told 2 of my co-workers about Game Pass. Had no idea. One of them got Game Pass same day, played games on his phone, went out and got a Series S the next day. He had no idea. Other co-worker, he wanted to play Starfield. He didn't have a strong enough rig for it. Told him about Game Pass. Got it. Now he's playing Starfield. Their marketing is absolutely terrible. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, they need to hire you, Yobi. They need to hire you, brother.
Another angle that you don't consider with the console, Moon, that I think you might have forgotten is that internet and infrastructure, right? Like it still needs to be around for now. I know, but I think there's still, I don't know if you heard the rumor about the docked handheld and then a premium console that could run on PC settings. Like here's my approach. The next consoles, make it a premium product for the hardcore niche players, and then focus on your cloud and make the service more steady and the connection stable to where the user doesn't even need that fast of a connection and they could still play it pretty reasonably well, right? That's where they need to focus on.
Well, that's why I said,
and I don't think they need to take away day and date either. I think that's a horrible
this is
idea.
what okay, look, if I was going to do it, if they're going to go, as I said, I'm going to go half, all right? So, as I said, there's sort of 3 different ways they could go third-party-ish, I guess, or multi-platform, whatever you want to call it, right? They could literally just dip a toe in and say, right, these 5 games are going over there and that's it. That's dipping a toe. They could half swing into it, which is what I think they may do, meaning half these games over here are going to stay exclusive to the ecosystem, but these half over here we're going to take over so we can maximize profits and keep our investors off our ass and keep them happy, right? So, like, for example, I'm not saying this is definitive. I'm just giving an example, right? So, right, Halo, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Forza, that's staying on this ecosystem. Starfield, Gears, Indiana Jones, we'll put them over here on PlayStation and the Switch 2 by that point. Right? Okay, then we go Sea of Thieves, live service. We're going to put it over here and here because we want most people play. Grounded, it can go over there too. South of Midnight, Clockwork Revolution, brand spanking new IP, we're keeping them. Elder Scrolls 6, all Elder Scrolls have been on PlayStation anyway, so we'll put that over there. Hellblade 1 was on PlayStation, so we'll move Hellblade 2 over there as well. Avowed, no, brand spanking new IP, we're going to keep that over for our ecosystem. And so on and so forth. So, like you said, right, it'll be case by case where they look at it, and if it makes sense for them, then it will. And I believe.
What do you think about that message too that Colt said, that where it said don't believe
Oh no,
everything
look,
you've read.
Well, for starters, I find it funny. I knew that his facial reaction was way over the top and was going to be turned into a meme.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
become a meme, bro.
yeah, it's become a meme. I don't really, and I don't want to say this because I know he's got big fans and stuff like that, but I don't take notice of him. That's just me. He's been caught out in lies before, and he's been caught out being wrong before. So I take what he says from grain of salt. And with what he read out, if that's your reaction face to what the wording that you read out, that's ridiculous. Like, that whole shocked face, to me, would have been more appropriate if the wording was a lot more substantial, right? So,
Like everything you heard is true. That would be huge.
So, me personally, I went off him. I stopped watching him ages ago because, as far as I'm concerned, there's others like similar to him that I've gone completely off. I don't like these skills, the guys out there that just shill, kiss ass, and they think that the way they say things that they think is, they say it as if it's factual and that they're really in the know. And I know damn well, because I mentioned to you, who I'm close with, he would call BS on it. And this person, I'm not going to bring light to it because he might not want light to it. But this person, I know damn sure, he's gamed with Phil, and he's got some connections. Believe you me, like actual legitimate connections, and he's got plenty of stuff that he could bring to light to prove what I'm saying about. I would take his word over anybody else's because he's very, very trustworthy. And as I said, I have even on the Xbox app, but even when I was on the Xbox, I had seen the person I'm talking about in party chats with Phil, with Paris, and with a couple others. All right, so that's all I've got to say on that. I'd take his word.
Let me ask you something, really, Moon. If they come out next week and Phil says, we understand console players feel like they're not treated fairly or properly, and we're going to make sure that we take care of them just as much as we do the other platforms. Would that really shock you if they went that direction? Or?
No, because I mean, there's already been talk in the last 24 hours that I think it was Jeff Grubb said that there could be some now walking back. You know, I mean, they had a decision made, if we all remember, on Xbox Live. They were going to raise that price. They were set in stone, and they walked it back. Right? With the amount of crap and shit that's gone on social media from the Xbox community this week, and we know that they're more ears to the ground and eyes on the thing than any PlayStation execs, right? So they would be seeing it. They would be hearing the noise, the backlash, and everything. Maybe they do walk some of it back. I don't think they're going to walk all of it back because, as I said, Satya and the investors overrule even Phil. All right? So that's just a fact. What Satya and the investors want is what they will get for the most part. All right? Yeah, Phil could go and say, okay, this isn't such a good idea, and maybe he can talk him into bending on something, but not all. So I think, put it this way, I still think it's very, very real possibility, at least when it just strictly pertains from a game perspective, some games are going to go to PlayStation. I do believe that's going to happen. With the other stuff that's been put out there, even including the last 48 hours, there's talk apparently that they're considering not making any more consoles and scrapping the 2026 console. I don't think that's going to happen. Because 2026 is coming. I mean, you know, I know it's 2 years away, but it's not that far away. And so they may be quite far along already. When
Phil has said multiple times they're going to support consoles,
yeah,
so right. I don't think that's true.
No. So, and I think they're too far ahead. Otherwise, it'd be just yet another loss of money if they completely scrapped it, right? So I think they have no choice, because it's already probably in some sort of stage or close being to a production, that their next console is coming out. Beyond that next console, that I think the next console is the last. I truly do. I will stand on that until the day I die. That next console, which should last a good 10-year period, right? That very, very, very well could be the last hardware console you see out of Microsoft. Because by the time that period is over, once that console comes out, you've got to remember that console's not coming until 2026. So by 2036, I don't think there's going to be another console after that, because the internet infrastructure will be where it needs to be for what their true vision is. They're not going to need the console then. So there'll be another console from them. It's just after that console, I think everybody should have major question marks on would there be another console after that. Because I don't think there will be. I truly don't. No one can convince me otherwise. I don't think there'll be another console after this next one that they bring out in 2026. That's coming. They've said it's coming. It'll come. But after that, 10 years after that, once it's had its life cycle, I don't think they will. I think that'll be it. And it'll all be about their services. It'll all be about the cloud. Because by that point, the cloud should really be taken off and be sustainable because of where the internet will be. Because we're talking, as I said,
internet will be better too.
Yeah, this is not 10 years from today either. This is 10 years from 2026 I'm talking about, because that's when that console comes out. So we're talking 2036. So we're almost getting up there on the way to 2040. So by that time, there just won't. You know, I mean, I know it's extremely, extremely hard to look that far into the future, but I do truly believe the internet infrastructure, so that'd be 12 years out from where we are today. 12 years from now, 2024, will be where it needs to be for cloud to be what it needs to be and what they envision with that. And that will then allow them to basically become an app on your phone, on your television, right? I know they've slowly started to do that. I don't know if it's there yet. I haven't even checked since my iPhone updated, but I know it's coming. They've already worked it out. Game Pass app on iOS, right? So clearly it is where they're heading, right? They're literally going to become an app. PlayStation and Nintendo might be a bit slower at it, but they're going to get there to that day too, where they will literally just be an app. The only thing, and you've heard me say this before, I think handhelds, just like a mobile phone, like a cell phone, they'll hold out and have more longevity and stay around a bit longer than your home-based console. They just will. Because I even think even by 2036, you probably will still have handhelds, because unlike a home console, that's a mobile thing. You can take it with you in the car, on the train, on the bus, for a walk. You know what I mean? That's why I think there might be more life in a handheld. So the Switch, for example, would probably... Nintendo might be the last with a console, because their console is a handheld after all. Yeah, you can dock it, but it's a handheld, right? So that's why I think it's good. Like Yobi said in the chat here. Exactly, yeah, Colt was Stroke of the Flames, and he knows damn better. Yeah, Jez was too. Yeah. But like Yobi said, and I think this is a smart business decision, Xbox knows consoles aren't it anymore. It's over with consoles, basically. Yeah, they're going to bring out another consoles, but it's over, right? They'll bring it out, and whoever buys it is whoever buys it. It is what it is. It's still going to be in dead last place, right? But them doing handheld, now that's freaking smart, because you're going to get more longevity out of that. That device is going to really boost you in Japan and in China and in all those Asian markets that prefer a game on the go. All right? They're not...
Being made by a good team, right? The Surface team.
Exactly. You see clear as day, most of those Asian countries, they don't care for your home console. They don't. You have a small portion that buy it. Outside that, they don't, right? You give them a handheld, boy, they'll be snapped off the shelves. They will be snapped off. That is a brilliant business decision, and I think it's even more brilliant than you have some of these Xbox fans screaming at them over the years. Build a VR. No. Don't go wasting money on production of VR, right? Because even PCs VRs struggle. It's such a niche thing, and not every gamer can play it. A lot of gamers get motion sickness. There's a lot of gamers that are epileptic that simply cannot fucking play the damn thing, right? Because all the flashing and stuff, right? That's right in their eyes. Handheld though, handheld's the way to go. Look at the Switch, bro. The Switch is 15 million units away from toppling PlayStation 2. You know, that's why it's even regardless of that old hardware in it, and we know it's ancient old by now in terms of tech, right? But because it's a handheld, that's why that damn thing continues to sell. And that's why it's sold so damn well. Because you can't get your PlayStation 5 or your Series X or your Series S and take it in the car with you. I mean, you can if you want to get technical and you get an automotive person hooked up in there. We've seen that even back with the original PlayStation. But technically, you unless you want to go to all that bloody trouble, you're not going to, right? Whereas you could just hop in your car with your Switch, right? And off you go. You're playing, right? But yeah, and yeah, you're right, Yobi. The caps have to go, and which I think in the future they will. And 1,000 gigabytes gigabits internet speed has to be the standard. Yep. And I think by that point it will. By that point, it needs to be unlimited, bro. Because there's a lot of countries that do offer unlimited internet as it is. I for example, have got unlimited internet, man. I can download to my heart's content. I have no cap. Have absolutely no cap. 80 bucks a month, unlimited. So yeah, you're right there. And I think, as I said, sorry, not 10, 12 years from now, 10 years from next Xbox comes out, I think you'll see that. You know, I think that they will get up there because they're working hard around the clock. All these internet providers. Yeah, 80 bucks for fibre. Woo! Yeah, well, that's what we got here. You know, this fibre to the premises. A couple of different ways they connect over here. So you got fibre to the premises, which is your best, you get that direct connection, which I've got. Then you got fibre to the node. Then they've got another one called fibre to the curb. They're a little bit slower. But yeah, man, fibre. If you got fibre to the premises, bro, you're bloody laughing in a lot of cases. But you're gonna be laughing a lot more better in the future because even now at the moment, I'll say speeds are good, but you know they could definitely be better. They're not great. You know what I mean? What's this? It's so good. I want to upgrade for faster speed for the hell of it. It is, bro. It is, and that's what I said. It's good, but we know that they're going to get better, and it's just going to get faster, man. Man, going from copper, which they used to use, a lot of these internet providers around the world, right? Used to use copper, the old copper lines, man. Oh my god, the dropouts all the time that you'd have, and just the speed, man, was so restrictive. And fibre has made that so much freaking better. But there's always, but there's always a course improvement, and they continue to look into ways to improvement and stuff like that. Like the company I'm with, for example, right, is based here, but their line goes under the water all the way through freaking Singapore and everything, which is even more high speed than some of the just fully Australian-based companies with their infrastructure based here. Like, I'm getting better speeds than them because of this particular line, right? So it's awesome. It's just going to continue to get better, bro. But like, yeah, as I said, 12 years from now, it's going to be a different story, and we'll all be freaking laughing, man. We'll be laughing. It'll just be instantaneous stuff, you know. But it's crazy. I mean, it's, as I said, when you see, if you've been on the internet long enough, right, like how crazy good it is now, I guess you could say. Like, I remember at a time where, say, you know, you download a movie, right? And a movie could take you, if you go far enough back, it could take you days to download a movie, right? And it went from days to still quite a chunk of hours, right? Now, I download a movie in a freaking minutes, bro. And I'm talking like within a 5 minute, like, boom, man. And you know what I'm saying? Like, music, it's like seconds, right? But even back in the day, some music, depending on how big the track was, right? It could take you half an hour to download one song, right? Now it's taking you seconds, right? Seconds. Um, but yeah.
I remember would stare at that download speed as it would slowly get there, 5 kilobytes a second, or 25 kilobytes.
Yeah, even like I remember the Dreamcast, bro. You had the old dial, you know, and then you like fucking, it's like loading up, and then you're like, yep, waiting, wait for Sonic Picture, like waiting. Oh, this is so cool. Oh, this is epic. And then you look back now, and you're like, what the fuck was I getting excited about? Like compared to now, you sit back and go, God, I was getting excited over that shit. But I mean, that was at a different time, of course, you know. And Dreamcast was the first to have like an internet connection to the damn console, right? So I mean, back then you were kind of like, woo, you know, even though it was, you know, that was sort of like the start of being able to play like with someone online, even though the connection was so piss poor. But here we were like, yay, joy.
Get back to it, brother. With the whole strategy, I wonder if this whole, because people have pointed this out online, even if they backtrack and go full, like you said, half step, even if they go back a full reverse step and not make any changes, people said that the trust is gone at this point because they can't trust them anymore because they've twisted their words.
Look, I've said for the longest
their
time,
messaging, which is we've always said,
yeah, we both said that because they've always done corporate doublespeak, or the old silver tongue line, as I like to use, right? And then you've got a whole bunch of them that say a whole bunch. So you've got Tim Stewart and Satya saying one lot of thing. You've got Phil saying something completely different. So clearly, right, the one thing out of all these rumours and that, right, and I said this, I think it was last week, I think there's a division behind the scenes. And you've got Tim Stewart and Satya's side, and then you've got maybe Phil's side kind of thing, right? And you got some that are agreeing with Satya and that, and then you got some that are agreeing with Phil. And I truly do think there's a division, there's a line in the sand behind the scenes, because, you know, one group wants to go in one direction, the other group's like, no, we need to keep this course, or we need to go this direction, right? But this is why I say, at the end of the day, realistically, now I just hope, whether it's Phil, whether it's Sarah Bond, that the hate, I know the hate is going to come their way, but it shouldn't, because like I've mentioned, 3 or 4 times since we started this podcast, if this swing into multi-platform, even if, as I said, if it's a half swing into it, I can almost guarantee that it's coming from above Phil's head. As I said, and above Phil's head is Satya Nadella and investors. And they're going to get, for the most part, what they want. You know, Satya is the big boss of everything, and the investors, as I said, they just want money, and they just want as much money as they can possibly make. And so this is why I think there may be some fire to all this smoke. You know, with the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think there will be some fire to this smoke. To what length and what degree, we're not going to know until Monday. But like I said, the one thing I feel pretty confident in believing's possibly going to happen is select games of their choosing are going to go multi-platform. Right? And when it pertains to, but two games, I will say straight out, in Indie and Blade, if they are to go multi-platform, nobody should be hating on Microsoft for that, because that probably wouldn't be their decision. They don't own the IP. Their studio, two of their studios are making the games, but they don't own the IP. So that would be a Marvel and Disney decision when it pertains just to those two, right? But again, this is why I say, if I was going to pick the games that they will look to take across, Hi-Fi Rush I could see, Psychonauts 2 I could see, Grounded I could see, Sea of Thieves I could see. Hellblade 2 I could see, not straight away, maybe 6 or 12 months after, because Hellblade 1 was already over there, right? Elder Scrolls 6, again, they could have that exclusive for a bit, then bring it across. All the other Elder Scrolls were on PlayStation, so that would make sense to me. And Starfield, because initially that was going to be a multi-platform game, and they have actually, numerous executives have said that was the case. So as I said, there could possibly still be code for it. I don't know how much code, but at least something to work on for it, right? So Starfield, again, could make a lot of sense as well. Call of Duty, obviously, clearly is going to be staying and going over there. They've already got a deal there. But those are the games I foresee if I was going to pick games out that I could see them taking across. The one that's been mentioned that's real interesting for me is Gears. Because I'm just... Yes, I could see it going across for what I mentioned to you earlier. Because, yes, it would fit that PlayStation mold of the type of game that those gamers like and enjoy and play and buy. But, ooh, it's such an integral part. Like, put it this way, I've said this before. People have their game of what got them into whatever platform, right? You know, for most Nintendo folks, most people, I would say Mario, right? For PlayStation, I dare say, depending on how far back, you could say numerous titles on PlayStation, but if you're going to go far back, it was probably, their first answer would be Crash Bandicoot or something along those lines, right, when it was a PlayStation exclusive game. For Xbox, there's usually 3 titles that people would mention, right? Some people got into being Xbox gamers because of Halo. Some people got into being Xbox gamers because of Fable. I raised my hand there. Some people got into being Xbox gamers because of Gears. I'll also raise my hand there, because I've always preferred Gears and Fable over Halo. But that's just me. So it would be real. I don't know about that one. I'm not willing to confidently think that that'll be a game that they would take across. But at the same token, if they take Gears over there, I can see where it makes sense, because it would be a game that they would buy and play over there. But yeah, the other games I mentioned, I think a lot of them are pretty surefire. I would think, because they're definitely. I think they're going to take somewhat of a swing into third party. As I said, not full blown. I don't think they ever will go full blown third party until there's no more console. While they've still got a console, which they currently do, and we know there's at least another one on the way, I can't see them going full third party, but I could see them going half third party. You know, so half their games go, half the games stay. Like's been mentioned, case by case. But I know a lot of people straight out said, "Oh, Elder Scrolls 6 will definitely be." Well, it makes more sense to be one of the games that goes across, because it had already been there. It's just a new entry in an already established franchise. It's not South of Midnight, which has never been around before. It's not Clockwork Revolution, which has never ever existed before. It's not Avowed, that's never ever existed. Those 3 games are brand spanking new IP. I know that I know some Xbox gamers say, "Oh, who wants to bet they'll take Halo over there?" Well, I don't think Halo will, and there's several reasons for it. they'd move Gears over there before they move Halo. That's how I feel about that. If they were looking at those two franchises and they go, which one are we going to take across here? I think it'd be Gears before it'd be Halo. I really do. So they've always been real uber protective of freaking Halo, as we know. And Fable, I don't think goes over there either. You know, because they're still going to need some big games to keep people at least not keep people, attempt to get people to come across. But here's the other thing: like the games that they do take across there, now that just gives people over on the competing platforms a taste. And then you say, well, you want to play these other cool games that you might be looking at. Well, these particular games are going to be over here. They're not actually going to come over here. You know, so that's another way of looking at it as well. Yeah, exactly. Grounded and Sea of Thieves do wonders worldwide. You can put Grounded on the phone. Yep.
It seems like the only games that they've ever put on other platforms, from my experience, has always been multiplayer live service games like Minecraft, Call of Duty.
Well, see, Grounded
obviously
makes sense.
Diablo now.
They do
Grounded because it's a live service multiplayer. Yep,
they do encourage that.
So,
you know,
Sea of Thieves, you know, like those all make sense. Yep. Fallout 76, you know, I think it's already PlayStation now. Yeah.
But as I said, there is some select single player games that, I mean, Elder Scrolls you can kind of play multiplayer too, but there is some single player games, as the ones that I mentioned, I could see making sense. People may not like it, but as I said, original Hellblade was already on PlayStation. So if they wanted to take Hellblade 2 over there, it would make sense because it's just a sequel to a game that's already been released on PlayStation, right? Just like, for me, Starfield makes sense considering it was originally, before they acquired Bethesda, going to end up going there anyway. So it would make sense to me. And Elder Scrolls 6 is, again, because the other Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, everything is on PlayStation, right? So that makes sense. If that's what they want to do with and they're more single player games, but you see where I'm saying that they actually make sense. Forza don't make no sense because they got Gran Turismo over there, and even if they wanted to take Forza over there, Sony's going to be like, no, we're not interested. We've got Gran Turismo. As far as we're concerned, Gran Turismo's better. That's what they'll say. They won't want it, right? Microsoft Flight Simulator to me does not make sense because just case in point, you've literally got Microsoft in the name of that. Sony's definitely not going to want a game it's got Microsoft Flight Simulator, right? So, and it's not really a game. Besides that, it's not really a game that I could see PlayStation gamers playing. It's just not. Realistically, it's more a game PC players play. Even over Xbox. I know some Xbox gamers have played it, but I've seen a bunch of them like, it's just not for me.
I've never seen a PlayStation player say they like Flight Simulator.
No. As I said, it's a very small contingent on the Xbox that are like it. Now, this new Microsoft Flight Simulator might actually get some more Xbox gamers playing it because there's going to be more to do other than just flying around, right? You're going to actually have missions and you know, be the fire one and the farming one and the rescue one, right? So it might actually get some more people into it, but it's still not a game I see ever going across there. But there is a few, as I said, there is a few. Hi-Fi Rush, again, it's a AA title. It's really a game that I could see on PlayStation and Nintendo. You know, it's a platformer. PlayStation really needs more platformers, to be quite honest. So, but as I said, I look at that game, and even when I first seen it and played it, I saw Switch written all over it. It just looked like a Switch game, that you'd play on the Switch. So look, I could see that going across too. But
South of Midnight, does that go to PlayStation? No.
See, that's the reason why I don't think that will is. There's nothing there for me to insinuate that it'd make sense because that's a brand spanking new IP. I mean, yes, they could look at it and go, okay, it's not one of the biggest AAA ones, maybe from that sense, But beside that, whereas as I said, like there's stuff there with Starfield that kind of makes sense. Hellblade 2 because Hellblade 1 was already over there. See where that
Yeah.
makes sense. Elder Scrolls 6 because the other Elder Scrolls are already over. That makes sense. But like the brand spanking new IP, like your South of Midnight, your Clockwork Revolution, your Avowed, they don't make sense because there's nothing connecting them to the other platforms. So if I was Microsoft, I'd be keeping those games. So that's why I said you keep Avowed.
But I
South of
thought
Midnight,
Elder
Clockwork.
Scrolls was exclusive after IGN's 30th article telling us it was.
Hey, yeah. But no, look, hey, look, after obviously the current discussions, it may have very well originally they may have looked at it and gone, yeah, we're going to have that exclusive. But now they might be looking at it and going, you know what? Why cut off that player by base that's bought Skyrim, that's bought Oblivion? Like, they'll probably buy it. And brings me to another thing. Phil saying, I don't want to cut off previous, where the games have been previously and that and the communities around that. Well, yes, Elder Scrolls is a new Elder Scrolls game, but it's still a part of Elder Scrolls and the lore and everything, right? So you've got a community over there. So again, it makes a lot of sense. If it does, I'm not saying it will, but I'm just saying if that goes across, it makes sense. If Hellblade 2 ends up going across the sun, it makes sense. Starfield, it makes sense because, as I said, it was going to end up going there if Microsoft didn't buy them. And then, Sea of Thieves and Grounded and all that, they all make valid sense. But then the two that, as I said, will not be Microsoft's decision if they do go multiplayer is the two that is a Marvel Disney IP. Right? And so indie...
Those are the ones that are up in the air, right? Because Disney can be like, let's put it on all these platforms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can do an MLB, what MLB did with Sony, and say, we want our game everywhere that Madden is. We're sick of seeing EA having Madden everywhere and FIFA everywhere. We want our game, And so they still aren't bringing the damn thing to freaking PC yet. They're not everywhere, but they're bringing it. They've got it on every console now. I just want MLB the Show on PC already, natively. Just trying to stream that bastard is just so... Oh, my God, it's terrible. It's the other thing is that the madness, and oh no, it's Alex made a whole video. I watched it last night. It had me nearly in tears laughing. He caught one guy out. One guy posted a picture and said, I smashed my Xbox, right? When you zoom in on the picture, you don't have to zoom in that much. The Xbox ain't smashed, it's melted. Alex brought up the fact that he got that picture off of Google because it's an old picture from an old Reddit user that also got caught out in the day from using it from somewhere else too. And all this uproar, people selling their Xboxes and stuff like that, right? Off of that's what I find funny. Like, yes, there's probably some truth to all these rumors, but at the moment, that's all they are rumors until Monday. Then you'll get confirmation, as I like to say, from the horse's mouth, right? But these people are all, all the people saying we're selling it and we're disowning them. I get it from some of them, and so there's a lot that are doing that. But then you've got some, like you just brought up before. I get some that may be done with the brand because they're sick of the doublespeak, they're sick of the lies. The trust is gone. The trust has been damaged. I get it from that perspective. I do. If you've been a gamer and a fan of this brand for so long, and they've pulled you this way and that way and this way and that way, you might be at a point that you're over it. So if that's legitimately why you're done with the brand, then I can totally understand that. That I understand. Because they've been absolutely terrible at jerking the fan base around. They really have. Different points in time, they've jerked the fan base around. There's been several times, and this is just, a lot of companies do this. They play their consumers like a fiddle, like a bunch of fools. And that's exactly what's kind of happened here. realistically, they shouldn't have even been waiting a week to get on top of this. They should have been coming out now, because you if you looked on social media, you could look at it, if you're looking at it from their perspective, going, oh shit, what have we done? This could be a mass exodus on our hands here. And I say could be, because that's the whole of Xbox community on Twitter is burn and fire, bro. Right? Pitchforks and all, right? So I'd be wanting to get out in front of it. And this is, if there is one thing that irritates me with them, is sometimes they take their sweet ass time. But even when they do come out and speak, they don't give you straight black and white to the fucking point. It's always that corporate freaking double speak. And
or
it's like,
speak, dance around the topic.
Dance around it and only give you half of what you want to fucking know. And then, you know, this is why, like, whoever is getting sent out to do it needs to come out and just be straightforward, right? You might cup some heat, but my God, just don't use the corporate. Just go, look, this is what we're doing. Whether you like it or not, yes, what you've heard is true. We are taking this game over to PlayStation 5 because we are completely changing strategy. This has come down from the top down. We've been told that this is the way things are going to go. Like, none of this, I'm going to dance and pussyfoot around and try and sweet talk the fan base, because that's not going to work. Especially this time, it's not going to work. You're just going to make all the fanboys, all the gamers, the community itself, let's just say as a whole, even more angry than what they already are. So they need to come out and just be freaking honest. And tell it like it is. You know? Because I tell you what, if it was Satya that went out and said he wouldn't give a flying crap what anybody would think of him, he'd just tell it like it is. Because that's just the type of bloke he is. He wouldn't come around and dance, oh, I've got to be gentle here and dance around, use the right words so I don't... No. Just, we're adults. We can handle it. Just say your truth. That's all I ask from them. Because even that as I said, that has irritated me for the longest time. Their corporate speak and double backing on things and double speak, and just... They've been caught out in lies before, and then they've done stupid decisions, and then have to walk it back, and oh man, and they're so reactionary too. Like, if you're just gonna do something, then do it. You know, you just got to do it. Be the leader on it. As I said, the one good cave out of all this is, right, let's just say hypothetically, they out of these big three here. Let's say they do go full third party, right? Again, this is just an example, hypothetical. They'd be leading the charge. And it would make the other two come to the party at some point. Oh, exclusives aren't no more. Oh, okay. Someone has to be the first to do it, like in anything, right? Even half swinging into it. If Sony sees, oh my God, look at how much more profit they're making. Again, they're a corporation. They're all about money. Maybe they do the same thing and you start seeing them. Yeah, it's, as I said earlier, it would take Sony and Nintendo longer to get to that party. But if you're the first to do it and they're sitting back watching you make hand over frickin' fist, then it's going to open their eyes and they're going to want a piece of that pie too. And they may turn around and go, you know what? Go talk to Marvel. Next Spider-Man game, let's take it everywhere. Right? God of War, let's take it everywhere. Horizon, let's take it everywhere. Last of Us, let's take it everywhere. Right? Might be obviously some of those, maybe a big God of War, I would imagine, that they do keep for themselves. But you get my point, is they'll see it and they'll be like, hey, we want to make more money too. And then Nintendo will be the last to do it, of course. They're the last to do anything, right? And then they'll get over there and they'll, 8 years down the line, you know what? These two boys over here we want more money too. I mean, we make a lot of money, but we want more money. And never have enough money, right? Enough profit, right? So, you know what? Let's put Metroid everywhere. Let's put Mario Kart everywhere. We've already got it on iPhones. Let's put it everywhere. Let's put some of our select games everywhere. You know what I mean? So it could be, because at the end of the day, here's the other thing. It wouldn't be a shock to me for Microsoft to come out on Monday and say they're going somewhat multi-platform or full multi-platform, whatever, because Phil hates exclusives. He hates it. If it was up to him, there'd be no exclusives. He said this numerous. This is why I've seen a lot of people this week with their reactions. I'm like, do you forget that this man, nearly every chance he's got, has come out and said he doesn't like exclusives? If it was up to him, there would be no more exclusives. Every game out there would be on every device, platform, etc., etc. That's the gaming world Phil Spencer would love to be living in. As I said, he has no control, unfortunately, over what other companies do and how they'll do with their games and stuff. But he does have control, some degree, with Xbox games. And he hates exclusives. So that's why I have a feeling. I've seen people out there defending Phil, like, oh, no, not possible. I have a feeling he's probably on the side that wants to push games over to the other. Because it would fit his gaming ideology. It would. For some, I've seen, oh, Phil would be against this. I don't think he would. The man doesn't want exclusives. So why would he be against it if it was suggested to him from Satya and that? Hey, let's take some of our games over here. Phil would be like, beautiful, let's do it. Why? Because that's what he envisions. He wants more players playing these games. There's huge communities over there. There's a huge community on PlayStation. If they can take advantage of that and make a buck off a PlayStation consumer, why wouldn't you do it? And the Xbox fans that would be pissed off about that are just silly. Because nothing's being taken away. They're not taking away to give to other people. They're just going to give to other people. And as I said, those people, because they don't have Game Pass over there, the PlayStation might allow Microsoft to sell some games over there. They're not going to let Game Pass come over there, I don't think, though. They might be okay with having some Xbox game because they can make a good chunk of money off the sales, right? Even just getting 30% of the cut. Game Pass kind of a bit of a different story, and it would sort of be counteractive to what their, PlayStation Plus and that. But game-wise, that's a different ballgame. But I just think some of the reactions so far has just been really ridiculous. Like, some really, really feel betrayed. But at the end of the day, I've said time and time again, you cannot be married to these corporations. They're not your friend. They don't have to be your friend. They don't have to appease you individually. They do not care about you. How your mother cares about you, or your father, or your other family members, friends care about you. They don't care about you. You're a dollar sign to them. You're a money bag. As long as you're giving them money, that's all they care about. A lot of people are so tied themselves to them. You know what I mean? And they're the ones who are more butthurt this week. And this is why I say, especially as a gamer, don't be so infatuated and glued to the corporation. Think about yourself and your needs. This is why I take my hats off to the gamers that have got a PC, like Yobi, PC, a Switch, a PlayStation, right? Because he only gives it, he's caring about himself. He's number one, not the fucking corporation. You gotta look after yourself, not the fucking corporation. The corporation's job to look out for themselves. And like Yobi even said in his comment, which I fully agree with, as long as he's getting what he wants, he's happy. He don't give a freaking hell about anything else that's got nothing to do with him, that doesn't affect him, right? He only cares about what affects him. And that's how you should be as a gamer. Care about your wants, your needs. Are you getting fed enough by your gaming? If Microsoft's just not doing it for you anymore, then go elsewhere. That's your prerogative. You know what I mean? What do you think about the overreaction and some of the reactions yourself, Rye?
I was disappointed.
Mm.
I really thought that the Xbox community was at least a little bit better than the donkeys, the PlayStation community, especially the fanboys. And we act just, well, I mean, not me, but
No.
they act just like them.
Yes.
There are some sound Xbox players in that whole cesspool. There are a good group of players who are sticking strong and saying that this is overblown and people are overreacting. The influencers, the journalists, the media, they've all spun this and just kind of let it, because they know that we don't read the articles a lot of times. We read the titles, and a lot of times they twist the titles to basically what's the word, exasperate the emotions, right? Like get people more enraged, but when in reality the article itself is not exactly how it's titled, right? It's always a misdirection, right? Getting people to believe something when it's completely something different. A lot of this has just been a whole mess of it. It's just this whole narrative that they've been spinning for a long time, right? Like the blue side, they've been saying this for a long time. The media started saying it about a year or so ago, right? Maybe even before that. They've wanted to see the demise of Xbox, and seeing the entire community crumble was just like icing on the cake to them, I'm sure. But some of us who are still very good Xbox fans and always will never sway, especially not to the ponies. Um,
No, exactly.
so they are still stuck in the console war when now it's become a platform war, and we're evolving. And I know Moon, you're on PC, but you have to admit that Microsoft's in a much better position than Sony is right now. Even with the fumbling of all this commotion, they're still in a much better position for the future than they are. So I'm not worried.
No.
I mean, Game Pass from their numbers is averaging about $1 billion a month in revenue. I mean, it's their guaranteed revenue stream that just keeps on giving, right? Aside from the Call of Duty revenue. So they're not going anywhere. They just had their strongest quarter in their history. I don't think they're really concerned as far as money. They're more they are, but I mean they're more concerned is their outreach, right? They want to expand outside of their platforms and kind of get out to the most amount of players. So that's what they always talk about, right? Building the ecosystem, giving Xbox and Game Pass to as many platforms as possible to give players the option to play on what they want to play on, right? Their preference. That's what it's all about, right? Giving options, which is why I'm okay with the handheld. I'm okay with the console, because the more options, the better, right?
Yeah.
But no, this kind of really shined a light on just how a lot of the so-called insiders and influencers of the community don't really know that much, right? They claim to know that much. They've been called out many times. Like you mentioned before with Colt. You can't trust any of them, right? At this point, you just need to wait for the official announcements and calm your tits. I mean, it's just,
but you know what?
Crazy, man. I've never seen, and this is okay. I can imagine if it was like politics, right, with the president, I could see people getting mad about that, or something more severe where you like, your favorite car company is leaving forever, and like you've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in the car, and like there's no other car like it, and like that kind of thing I can understand. But the fact that it's a video game and it's the least popular console of the three, and there's so many other options out there, and there's a lot more. I mean, I'm not trying to tell people to abandon the brand. I'm just saying that like
yeah.
you're making a big deal out of something that really is very insignificant in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? So I just think it was just way too, people just went way off the handle, and it just goes to show that with, at least with Twitter, with the fanboys, it's not about the games anymore. It's about having the ammo, right? Having the weapon,
Yeah.
having that, oh, we got this had a 95 meta, this had an
Yeah,
89
yeah.
meta. You know, it's the whole like being able to control the narrative and get engagement and clicks. You know, there's a lot of bad actors out there, you know,
No,
fake neutrals, influencers, you know, of that.
this is why,
We're just trying to stir the pot, you
I
know.
agree with.
Um,
I agree with.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Like Yobi too, and he's adding into this, right? He goes, "I'll tell you like this. I don't trust any of them anymore." Talking about the influencers and some of these centric podcasts, right? From here on out, he goes, any future Xbox, Sony, or even Switch news, till it comes from them, meaning the companies directly, I'm not believing none of these guys anymore. And this is what I said. I've switched off from a lot of these centric podcasters because I'm just going to put you in the short. I find them full of shit. Excuse the language. I find a lot of them, not all, a lot of them full of shit. Because all they do is, as I said, and I was actually going to make a point of this, and you probably agree with me here, Ryan. They say, when they say shit, they say it as if they're fully in the frickin' know, when they're not. But they say it as if it's something factual, right? And then 9 times out of 10, it falls flat, right? And from your Colts to your Jezzes, and that's just a few names. And there's others that I used to watch or tune into, and I've just gone, you know what? I'm so sick of that. I'm wasting my fucking time listening to this crap. It's because it's just crap. These guys are just looking for click. All they give a shit about is saying whatever the hell comes to their freaking mind that's going to get them viewers and get them their likes, and because all they care about is their channels and stuff like that. A lot of these people are like that, right? You got some, don't get me wrong, before I go any further, you got some real genuine people out there, all right? Shout out to my boy Carlo and PK. Shout out to Mav and Pong and Brother Steel as well. You got some real, legit people out there. But the difference between them and the morons that I've switched off from is the people I just mentioned, like Carlo, PK, Mav and that. They sit there and their wording's a lot better. They say, this is my opinion, or this is my thought, or we are going, as Mav would say, we're going to speculation town. They make it clear, crystal clear, that what they are saying is not factual. It's just them having a guess, having to speculate what they believe, right? Carlo PK, the same thing. Although, as I said, Carlo is a little bit more of the know of certain things. That's a different story. I'm not giving away all your secrets, Carlo. But no, he is. And these are people I will tune into and I do trust, because they're not out there trying to get you for a click. They're not out there trying to shill. They're out there and they put themselves out there like you, like me, like Yobi in the chat. And they speak to you also like a gamer. Like, they're not up there like, I'm an advertiser, you know, so I've got to talk a lot of bullshit to try and come in and, you know what I mean? Like, there's a big difference, right? A big difference. And, you know, the thing that pisses me off is that you watch all these people that have been out there stating things as if they are facts, like they know something, like they are currently in a freaking boardroom with Phil, with Sarah, with Satya, with the investor, blah, 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 right? Will they sit out there and apologize or even admit their wrongs, if they are wrong on anything, no. They'll just be up there singing a new tune or acting like they got amnesia or Alzheimer's, like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say that. You know, they all do it. They've done it many times. They've done it many, many times over. You know? If this was somebody like a me or a you, Ryan, or even a Yobi, and we've said something and then it comes back and it's not the way it is, we'd sit up there, no problem. Okay, yeah, we said it. Hey, on our face, yeah, beauty. Take it on the chin. Yeah, we were wrong.
We'll admit when we're wrong.
Yeah, I've seen Pong on a couple of occasions admit he's wrong because he's that type of guy. Yeah, I said that. You know, it might have just been a crazy thought of mine. Yeah, I didn't go that way. You know. They're people that you can actually trust because they're actually able to sit up there and admit they're wrong. But these people we're talking about, they're not going to admit they're wrong. They're just going to move past it like nothing's freaking happened and move on with their day and act like when Microsoft comes up, oh, we were right behind, we knew this was going to be right. No, hang on a second. You weren't saying this, though, just a week ago, right? That's the thing that will annoy me about. And that's why I've switched off, like Yobi, you know, himself. I've switched off from a lot of these guys because they're just so full of crap. They're up there shilling away. They're up, whether it's shilling for the company that they don't really need to be shilling for because the company's got their own advertising division and stuff like that. But apart from that, they're just saying all this crap and acting like they have sources and they have the hookups and everything to draw you in. And the sad thing about it is they sucker a whole bunch of people. Like you go into said people's podcasts and they've got like hundreds of people in the freaking chat eating and hanging off their every freaking word as if it's gospel. And that's why I've said, you know, I wish that these people would learn and stop talking as if what you're saying is factual. You got to say it more as if it's a thought or an opinion. Like us here at the Basterdz, we're always saying, oh, this is our thoughts, or this is our opinions, or we are speculating, we are guessing. Or as I was just doing before, and examples or hypotheticals. You got to make sure you state that. That way nothing can come back on you because you're only doing a hypothetical or an opinion or a thought, etc., etc. I'm not sitting up here stating anything. What I'm saying is factual. And I won't because I'm not trying to sucker somebody just to get a click or get people interested. I'm just up here enjoying the discussion like everybody else and just sharing what I think could happen. And just saying that it doesn't really bother me either way what direction they're going to go in because it doesn't affect me. I'm like Yobi, as long as I'm getting the games that I want to play in the place that I want to play it, which, yeah, is my PC, then I couldn't care less what they do. Because I'm not going to tie myself to a corporation. It's their job to serve me, not me to be out here, oh, praise, I'm attached to them. Like, I'm not attached to them. I'm attached to myself and my gaming needs. You know? I'm not a corporate D-sucker that's out here, like, acting like, oh, whatever decision that they're making for themselves as a business and corporation affecting me and it's hurting me. Oh, boo, 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 hoo. Because it's not. The facts are it's not. At the end of the day, Microsoft's going to do what they're going to do. They couldn't give a flying shit what I got to say. They just want my money. I'm happy to give them my money if they're giving me what I want, but I'm only looking out for me when it comes to gaming. I don't give a... outside of that, I don't care about anything else because I've got no control over anything else. So there's no point, like Yobi said, getting all up in arms and huffy and puffy and crying and bitching and moaning about shit that's out of your control. That does not directly affect you. If Starfield goes to PlayStation, don't get angry about it. You've still got the game. You've still got your game on the Xbox, or you're still playing the game in Game Pass. It ain't going nowhere. If you book, you know, whatever, you know, it's just, yeah, at the end of the day. And this is why I wish, as I said, these shills or these Xbox century podcasters would stop stoking the fires. Like I just seen Jez, for example, again had amnesia 24 hours after stoking a whole bunch of fires and getting people all worked up and worried, and then he made a comment as acting as if he had nothing to do or didn't play a part in the community uproar. You see what I'm saying? And this is what they do. This is what they do. They, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But yet 24 hours ago, you're the one out here worrying everybody. It's ridiculous. This is why I can't stand these types of people. I can't stand it. Like, you can't do that. And he did get called out. I've seen people calling him out. Hang on a second, but you were the one that, you were up here saying this and that, and you were all huffy and puffy like you didn't like the decisions and that, but now your tune's changed? Literally 24 hours after or 48 hours after? Did you see the same thing, brother?
Yeah.
I know, man.
Man, I don't like this whole thing is kind of turned me off a little bit to the community.
Like you weren't wrong.
I'm actually gonna close my circle even more and probably block a lot of them just because like I'm tired of like that constant narrative and spins and the farming for likes and engagement by the twisting fake rumors and insider news and all that stuff. It's just it gets overwhelming, and people and some people are just fed up and tired of it. That's why a lot of people have either left the brand or they've quit Twitter or they've even just stepped away from all of social media altogether because of it. So
exactly, man. And that's why I had to giggle at some people. That's why I was making fun of some people in there because I just thought it was funny. I really did. I made sure I put there. Look, my post isn't directed at my fam, which you're included, and Chuck and others and Yobi in the chat. Wasn't directing my post at them. I was just directing it at all these morons out there that I'm like, oh my god, like you don't know what's up yet, and like, but besides that, even if there's any truth to it, like this is a corporate. You like, and the corporations are just going to do what a corporation's going to do. As I said, these people have got to stop caring so much. You know what I mean? Like, unless they came, the only way I'd understand people being devastated is if they came out tomorrow and said, no more consoles, by the way, we're switching everything off, so you're going to if you bought digitally, you lose everything. Then I could understand people being pissed off because they're going to lose their game. Oh, now that I could understand, but just taking a game somewhere else, that's not going to affect you. Hey, if that's all it is, don't let it.
a lot of them need therapy too, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. We need Dr. Phil, bro.
Seriously, they need to step away and get some help before they come back and use social media.
As long as, again, as I stress, as long as you're getting to play whatever game it is that you want to play on whatever it is you want to play it on, whether that's an Xbox, whether that's a handheld, whether that's PC, PlayStation, whatever. That's all you should be concerned with. If you are getting what you want as a gamer, wherever you're playing, then don't worry about anything else. Just be happy. You know? And like, I'm kind of with Phil. I don't like exclusive. I don't, because I would love every gamer to be able to play whatever game they want to play. You know what I mean? Because gaming is meant to just be like that. I don't think it should be so restrictive anymore. It was a different time and a different era back in the day when it was Sega and Nintendo. There was different times and stuff. But now I kind of have the same sort of ideology as Phil. I think every game should be everywhere so everybody gets to enjoy it. Of all walks of life on whatever the heck they've got in their house. You can't afford a console, that's cool. You can play all the games here if you've got this device in your TV, right? Everybody should have a chance to play. And we know everybody in the world hasn't got. There's people that don't
You
have a
don't have a
console.
console, you have
You're
a
right.
phone, right? If you don't
Yeah,
have a phone, you have a tablet, right?
yeah, right. Hey, boom, boom, kaboom! What's good, Newfie? And so, and apart from that, there's plenty of people. I mean, everybody's on different wages and different income as well. So not everybody can have, you know, there's people out there that can't afford to build a PC. But then there's also the same said people that can't afford to have multiple consoles either. So, or multiple devices. So, that's why I kind of see where Phil wants to go with that in that direction. And I don't know if it'll be now or tomorrow, but sometime in the future, I hope he gets what he wants and every game's everywhere. It just makes it more easier and accessible for everybody of all sorts of walks of life, incomes, etc., and everybody gets to play. So I do agree with him on that. We all get the games everywhere. We all get to play. We're all happy. You know, that's what a gamer should be. A gamer should be happy, not angry. A gamer should be happy. But moving on, another real interesting topic that is very, very widespread. This was actually quite disgusting, I thought, but we know this has happened on multitude of times. So, The Last of Us Part 2, Abby actress claims fans threatened her child. Threats of any sort, in my opinion, in this industry from gamers and fans needs to stop. And this is really a huge problem. It is. It is a huge ongoing problem. And I'm just going to read this little bit from VGC. She said the incident taught her to keep a distance, right? So, speaking in speaking Grounded 2, a new documentary detailing the development of The Last of Us Part 2, Laura Bailey discussed how the situation got so bad that the threats had to be sent on to the police to ensure that none of them were located close to where the actor lived. The worst of it, the really hardcore death threats got passed alone, and they made sure they weren't anyone who lived close by. They were threatening my son, who was born during all of it, and yeah, it was rough. So they were threatening a baby. All right. But more than anything, it just kind of like taught me to keep a distance. The majority of the threats were due to the fact that in The Last of Us Part 2, Abby, a new character introduced in the second game, kills Joel, the protagonist from the first game, in the early hours of the game. So not only as we were well aware was a shocking twist, but news of this huge plot spoiler was revealed online in the months ahead of the release of the game due to the leak that saw hours of footage of the in-development game flood social media. The same documentary creative director Neil Druckmann confirmed that he had a concept too, mind you, just on a small note, for a third Last of Us game. But no, look, this has gone on for ages. Devs, anybody sort of in the industry, I think Keeley himself even copped it, threats, and yeah, it was an unborn child at the time. Yeah, so they were going to kill a fetus. There you go. It doesn't make it any better, does it? But this was disgusting, and as I said, it's rife throughout the industry. This seems to happen nearly every single week with somebody in the industry getting threatened of some sort on some length and wavelength. But for this poor woman specifically, I will say, to get threats because she was voicing a freaking character. She's not the character in the game doing what you're not liking going on in the game. She's just the actress just doing the voice acting of it. She had no decision. That was Neil Druckmann, right, in what Abby's character did in the game to Joel. But even so, that doesn't mean you should be directing anger or threats at Neil either. It's a freaking game. Now, I love The Last of Us. Was I upset that the scenario in that game happened? Yeah, I was. Because I got really attached to Joel in the first game. But it's still a game. Fantastic sequel, but too. Everybody involved did a fantastic job. Laura Bailey did a fantastic voice job. Hats off to her. But it's just a game. There's games that come out all the time that something happens in it you don't like. Look at all the people that have been crying and over what happens to Batman and Suicide Squad. But you're not going to go out and anybody with half a brain, not going to go out and threaten the bloody developers just because, hey, you killed Batman. These are video game characters. They're imaginary, made-up characters. It shouldn't be that serious. But what's your thoughts on this, brother? And how can this be stopped or improved? Like, because it happens too much.
Well, as you know, and I know you might disagree and some people disagree with you, but I really think these are all PlayStation fanboys because it always happens with their games on their side for the most part. It's disgusting. It happened with the Mary Jane actress. It's happened before with Insomniac. It's happened before with Naughty Dog. What were the other instances? There were other times before that as well. It's just really a trending behavior. And I don't think it's just a gaming problem. I think it's a society issue in the way that the world is right now. There's so much anger and hate and division, mistrust, and people are looking to get their, do things that they normally wouldn't do or lash out in ways they normally wouldn't lash out before. They're just acting very irrational. Some people are just, and I feel maybe some of these people are just some of the worst people in society. They really are. They're just really bad people. You know what I mean? Like they shouldn't be around people, especially sending them cruel messages like that, wishing death upon come on, man, like a newborn kid over fictional characters.
Exactly.
I mean,
that kid's got that kid's in his mum's tummy going, what the fuck are they talking about?
I think the video game companies need to start brainstorming and coming up with maybe like a task force or a group who can investigate any potential threats in the future and get law enforcement involved, get some of them arrested in jail, let it run in the media so they could send a message to everybody online that you're not invisible, you're not immune just because you're behind a keyboard. Like they need to show that there is consequences for doing this, and until they do that, it's just going to keep happening. And I think that's what needs to happen is they need to have some sort of enforcement mechanism in place to try to prevent this from happening in the future. But until then, I just don't think it's going to change.
No,
it's unfortunate because it's really messed up. Like the way that they treat them and the way they threaten them, and like swatting involved in some cases, like they just going way too far just for a video game. I've never seen it before in my life.
We know
it's crazy
that there is, of course, the gaming community is made up of a lot of people from all walks of life, but good God, there is a lot of sickos and unhinged people in the communities. And I'll just say in the communities, because you got a few in the Xbox communities too, but it seems very prevalent in the PlayStation community. I know it gets a lot of light brought onto it. And like you mentioned, there's been a lot of games that clearly you would assume that the threats and that are coming from a PlayStation gamer, considering it's a PlayStation game. 9 times in this case.
I mean, didn't they literally send dick pics to the God of War developers because they wanted the release date?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know. It's like grow the fuck up and start acting your age and not your shoe size. And I say this all the time. Even with the bloody silly fanboys with their silly console war, I say the same thing. It's like, just grow up. Like, and this is on a different scale. This is worse, you shouldn't be going out making threats and especially death threats like that. That's very, very, very serious. So I'm glad, like in her case, for example, she passed them instantly on to police. That was probably a best option, instantly. The sooner the better, But I'm agreeing with you. I think that all the game companies, and I'm not just talking about just Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo themselves, but like any of these dev companies as well themselves, need to single these idiots or morons out. Or I'll do this one for Noof. Wankers, right? Need to single them out and right and yeah, they should be charged and they should be arrested and they should be, scolded and whatever, because it's not right, it's not fair. These people, whether it's a dev, whether it's a voice actor, actress in there, they've got enough stress and pressure going on as is in the job that they do, right? We know, like, it gets mentioned all the time in the video game industry, like crunch and work hours and everything like that. And some of these people aren't even seeing their kids or their families for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and on end, compared to, say, a person that might be doing a 9 to 5 job or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So things need to change. And I think I've said for the longest time, this is where these companies and the good folks of the community need to all band together, because it's going to take a collective group effort and weed out these deranged, unhinged people that are not needed in this community. Because at the end of the day, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, even if it's just a single person doing it, it reflects badly on the whole community. Because the more it keeps happening, the more people look in and go, God damn, is that what the gaming community is mainly made up of? Deranged, unhinged, unwell people? And no, we're not all like that. That's why I'm making this point, right? There's a good portion of us that are actually sane people, right? At least sane when it comes to this kind of crap, at least, you know what I mean? And, yeah, I think we all need to just work together. Because at the end of the day, it will take a huge collective effort. It is going to be a massive job. One or two people, or even just one or two companies, aren't going to be able to do it on their own. It needs to be a collective effort. The gaming community needs a widespread clean out. I've been screaming this at the top of my lungs since I came into the community, on the online community. It needs a clean out, right? Not just because of this. I mean, you've even got people in the community that get into these arguments over stupid plastic freaking boxes, and the conversation.
That's funny you mentioned that, because Ironclaw was mentioning that today on Twitter, that we should do like a reset of the community. Because weed out the bad ones.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like what I was going to say is, and you've probably seen this yourself, is the two people will start arguing over the actual consoles. That'd be, my PlayStation is better than yours, my Xbox better than yours, my dick's bigger than yours, my dick's bigger, rah 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 rah. But then it delves further and it gets personal and it moves completely away from, then my console's better than your console, to, I'm going to punch you in the face. Oh, I'm going to curb stomp your head. I'm going to do this to your wife. I'm going to kill you.
Where can we meet up? What's your address?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to drive by, or, and I'm just sitting there going, oh, for frick's sake. Like,
yeah, this is part of the combo.
It's really, really bad. And that's how bad it is. Yeah, I've said for the longest time too that it blows my freaking mind that there's this much shit like this in a community that it has no place in being, right? Now, I don't think it has that place in any sort of community, but this is the thing. I can get it when people get at each other's throats in the sports, in the sporting community and that, you know, because everyone's got their different teams and people can get some heated when sports is on, right? And they might even want to get into a punch on. Makes sense. Shouldn't happen still, but it makes sense, right? But even they act more civilized, and I've seen it, than the gaming community. Now, that right there says a lot. When you've got the sports community acting more civilized than the freaking gaming community. And it really shouldn't be that way. As I've just pointed out, like, yeah, you kind of, you hear about it, like, oh, you know, someone goes to a stadium and someone's I don't know, a Pats fan and they're there against the other team's the 49ers. Well, they might get into a punch on and get heat or whatever, exchange pleasantries, right? Because it gets heated in the heat of the moment, you know, because fans take their sport seriously, right? But it makes a little bit more sense over there. As I said, shouldn't go as far as death threaten each other, but that makes sense. That shouldn't, even just like, I'm going to box your ears off, that shouldn't be happening in gaming. Gaming's supposed to be the thing that brings everybody together. Gaming is meant to be everybody's escape from all the real life BS and drama that we all have to put up with in our day-to-day lives or just the world in general. But it's not allowed to be that because of a very big portion that takes things to places that it just shouldn't be going. And as I said, you got other gamers that get threatened, so they got fear for their lives, and then they're starting not to enjoy things. And then this happens with devs and voice actresses and actors, and they're starting to not feel safe. And they're you know, look what it did to Laura Bailey, for example. You know, completely distancing herself and, you know, cutting herself off when before it all happened, she wouldn't have been like that. You know, and that shit,
some of them even left the industry because
it completely does. It completely changes a human being. You know, and in this case and point, it has. But I don't blame her either. You know, and I mean, it was well and truly publicized how much crap she copped. You know, and so yeah, something needs to happen, or hell, a task force needs to be put together. I don't know what, but whatever needs to happen, whatever it takes, everybody needs to bandy together to do it. Us in the community as well as these companies. That's the only way that anything's ever going to get done and stop. But the two major things that I think instantly need to happen is the people that are doing this crap, they need to be brought to light so everybody's aware of them. And then you put them on that embarrassment level, just doing that. And then second of all, if they're going to the point of threats, especially death threats, goodbye, see you later, you're going to court, you're going to go to jail. Because you are threatening to kill somebody. Or threatening to severely hurt somebody. Which is just beyond ridiculous over stuff that is... we're not imaginary, but like, you know, not real shit. It's a video game, you know what I mean? It's just, it's ridiculous. It really is, man. As I said, things definitely, that's for damn sure. Let's finish this, brother, on a bit more happier note now. We got those two conversations out of the way. So, Capcom has asked players if they want sequels to Akami, Dead Rising, Mega Man, and more. So, Capcom has officially floated the idea of sequels to Akami, Dead Rising, Mega Man, and other much beloved Capcom franchises. They even did a fan survey. So, as was reported by Nintendo Life, players can now vote in super elections on the Capcom website. Series of 10 questions surrounding a myriad of topics and game franchises. One of the more interesting questions saw Capcom ask players which series they'd most like to see a sequel or spin off to, with answers such as Dino Crisis, Akami, Onimusha, Dead Rising, Darkstalkers, Breath of Fire, Mega Man, Ghosts and Goblins, and more. Though it did include some ongoing franchises like Resident Evil and Monster Hunter 2. Beyond just a sequel or spin off, Capcom is also considering which franchises are worth remaking completely. Perhaps following the incredible success of the Resident Evil remakes, it again asked fans what they would like to see remade completely, floating the likes of Mega Man, Onimusha, Commando, Rival Schools, Final Fight, Ace Attorney, and more. Of course, surveys like these aren't especially unusual, with companies regularly using them to test the interest in various franchises. Embracer Group did the same with Legacy of Kain in late 2022, for example, asking fans if they'd be interested in a remake, remaster, or sequel. It received over 100,000 responses to that particular survey, though it hasn't said anything since. But even if fan interest is one of these Capcom franchises was especially high, it would likely still be years before an official announcement was made, or we'd know for sure that that was going to be put into production. What's your thoughts on this, brother? Is anything standing out that you'd love to see sequels to, or anything that you would love to see completely remade after what they've done with the Resident Evil series?
You know me, brother. I'm a survival horror fanatic, and you know I love Resident Evil. And two words that came up the first tweet I saw regarding the news was Dino Crisis. And I was
Hey,
just like, when I saw that, my eyes lit up, and I was like, finally, after like years of fans and myself included, like crying for a remake or a new game, and
mm,
it felt like they were just ignoring us for the longest time. But to be fair, if you look at Dino Crisis sales, it was niche like Resident Evil. It didn't really do that well.
right,
Um, so I could see why they didn't really weren't too keen on bringing it back too quickly. But I feel like this might be it for real this time. This might be the time where they are actually considering developing the game, which is very exciting. This is the closest I think we've gotten in a long time to it actually happening. So I'm
right.
really hoping that everybody I voted for, everybody did voted for Dino Crisis. That's the number one for me. As far as everything else, the only other ones I see is I want a new Mega Man 3D game, like similar to the X series, but maybe like 3D, or it could still be 2D, but just more modern.
Yeah.
Um, and also the games that are already coming, which you already know, which is the Resident Evil 5 remake that is coming.
Mm.
I believe somebody came out, Aesthetic Golem or Dust Golem. He's a well-known, renowned horror insider who is a legitimate insider. He's not a fake. He gets insider information from developers. He's got some connections, and he said there's 5 Resident Evil games in development right now. So I'm the ones that
Woo-hoo-hoo.
I'm looking forward to are of course the next mainline series 9, the
Right.
5 remake, and Code Veronica. Like that's the one that everybody's been asking for aside from Dino Crisis. Like Code Veronica, Code Veronica, Code Veronica. More so, I think even than RE4 before RE4 remake come out. But then I also heard that Dusk Golem said that they were planning on doing RE4 remakes first, then 5, then Code Veronica, which makes sense. I could see them going that direction. And then people are speculating that the other two could be like mercenaries or kind of like a arcadey shooter kind of like Outbreak was like kind of like side off like side uh, spin-offs of like they had before in like the older gens with the older consoles. So those are the ones that I'm looking forward to the most, are like the survival horror games and maybe a new Mega Man game. Like I'm really, really dying for that. What about you?
Yeah, man. Well, I tell you what. I'm with you. The first one that stood out for me straight off the bat was Dino Crisis, bro. Like, yes, with a lot of us, you, me included, Pong, I'm pretty sure as well. We've been screaming out for the longest time for a Dino Crisis remake. Like, we need one. I know we're getting that cool Jurassic Park as well coming too, but bro, Dino Crisis, man, was the jam back in the day, bro. So I'd been, I put it this way, for the longest time I'd been crying out for that, and I'd also been crying out for Two Rock to be remade. I know that's not a Capcom game, but it's been a minute since Two Rock, man, because I loved the hell out of Two Rock back on those. I used to play the hell out of those games on 64, bro. Um, but Dead Rising was another one, because I love zombie games as well. And they were always a bunch of fun. And I would really like to see that get a remake, reboot kind of thing. Especially, with more updated graphics and blood splatter and the like. What else was there? I'm with you on Mega Man, man. Mega Man, man, that character has been around for decades now, bro. Like, I don't know how the hell it hasn't been remade already, because it's still very, 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 very popular. Very, very, very popular. I know people like reading the comics, the mangas, everything, etc., etc. The people still go on about the anime or cartoons of it. Man, that there would be huge interest in that. So I thought that was really, really cool, and another one that I think they should look at. Ghosts and Goblins, man. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but that was a cool game, bro. I know we got. I think it was,
Hard game. What
yeah,
about Final Fight 2? Heck yeah.
yeah, yeah, bro. Yeah, that'd be nuts too. They got a few here. I don't know about Ace Attorney as much because they've had a bit of a continuation going on. I don't know if you want to really. I mean, maybe if you're just going to remake some of the original ones.
There's
But
already a bunch of Ace games though.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's always it's sort of like compared to some of the others on this list. I don't think. I mean, if they ever do, that should be like one of the last that you come to do. Because it's had consistency there. That Onimusha would be a good one too. Um, that would be good. I'm not really familiar. I've heard of it, but I'm not really familiar with Akami. Um, but man, there's some good stuff there. Commando would be another good one too. Commando would be another really, really cool one. They've definitely got some IP here that definitely needs some new life breathed into it. And look, at the end of the day, this is a good way to with what they're doing right now, to see where all these IP are at. The interest rates and on it, and how much people are wanting it, kind of thing, to give them an idea of what's going to make sense, I guess, from a money making standpoint. But look, these guys are the geniuses at remakes, bro. I mean, with what they've done with Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and Resident Evil 4, you'd know that any of these IPs of theirs would be in fantastic hands and would be really, really, really epic remakes. They're going to add all the bells and whistles. They're going to go full out for them. They're going to put full effort. If there was ever a company that you could sit back and be safe on, but when it comes to a remake, it's Capcom, bro. Like, they're back at the top of their game just on every freaking level, man. Look, they rejuvenated Street Fighter with Street Fighter 6 after the debacle of Street Fighter V brought new life into it, and bang, man, it was a banger. With the remakes, they've just done absolutely phenomenal. They really are at the top of their game. They're probably, if at the moment, the best Japanese dev out there right now. Right now, and you got some good ones, as we know, like Bandai Namco and Square and others. But I don't think any of them touch Capcom right now. They're on fire, bro.
They're on fire, man.
Yeah,
Everything they throw out is a banger.
Everything they touch since they've come back to prominence is turned to gold, bro. So, look, I think, and I've got one of the little polls here, for example, right? Let's have a look, shall we? Okay, so in this poll I'm looking at, there's been 14,000 voters so far, and this is just out of a list of Dead Rising, Akami, Onimusha, Dino Crisis, Mega Man, Ghosts and Goblins, Final Fight, Ace Attorney, and then the last one, something else, meaning, other IP. So, do you want to know what currently is the top percentage rate? At 29.6%, winning the poll right now is Mega Man. Followed by 15.5% for Dino Crisis, and then 11. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. So Mega Man's first at 29.6%. Okami is second at 23%. Dino Crisis is third at 15.5%, and Dead Rising rounds out the top four at 11.6%. Well, if we're going to do top five, Onimusha is fifth at 8.1%. Yeah, Akami was little number was hidden there. It was like looking at the list, and then I'm looking at, I'm like, oh, I thought that said 3%. No, it says 23%. So Akami is second, but Mega Man is the most wanted out of that list. I would have thought
Dino Crisis at again. What was that again?
Dino Crisis is sitting third at 15.5.
So it's a good chance.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the top three. I seriously would have thought that it would have had a higher percentage rate than Kami, but obviously not. But I think really the top four has probably got great chance. Mega Man, Dino Crisis, Akami, and Dead Rising seem to be the four getting the most votes and most popular right now. The lowest two are Final Fight and Ghosts and Goblins. But even Ace Attorney's slightly higher. Ghosts and Goblins 1.2%, Final Fight's 1.8%.
I'm not surprised. Unfortunately, the beat 'em up genre is very niche, and there's not a lot of fans of it.
Yeah, the only one that seems to be big in that genre seems to be Streets of Rage. That's pretty much about it. And I'm pretty sure we're getting another Streets of Rage after this. Oh, and Turtles, yeah. Sorry, and Turtles, yeah. And I'm pretty sure I've seen rumors going around that there's going to be another Streets of Rage after the massive success of Streets of Rage 4. So, yeah. I mean, this doesn't surprise me, man. It doesn't surprise me. It'll be interesting. But look,
my whole thing is like, why are people picking Mega Man when Mega Man 11 didn't even do that well?
I know. I think, as I said, I think it's more just the popularity of Mega Man is probably winning out here. It is just the popularity of that character. But again, I seriously thought Dino Crisis would have been like 1 or 2, and it's 3. I mean, 3's not bad, but I seriously thought it would have been higher than that. But I still believe, because they've talked about Dino Crisis before, Capcom themselves. I think we will get a remake of Dino Crisis. I think we will. I think it will sell pretty damn well too. I think it's a matter of when, not if.
I think people just lost the familiarity to it because it's like it hasn't been out since the 90s.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. But I think they'll do it, and I think it'll sell very well. And if it sells well enough to warrant a sequel, then I think it'll get a sequel. Because I think there's enough people out there that want a remake of it. I think there's enough gamers out there that want it. As I said, even at 15.5%, that's still a good portion. As I said, in the top 3 of most wanted out of them. What to remake. So yeah, man, I think it'll be a matter of when, not if, with Dino Crisis. I do. The one that could go either way, I'd like to see it, but it could go either way, is Dead Rising. I'd like to see it because of the success that Dead Island 2 had. So that may help it. Capcom looking at, okay, well that did well, so maybe, Dead Rising, fairly similar game, could have that appeal, and people loved playing it in the day. It was a bunch of fun. So it too might have a good chance. I'm a little bit more sure on Dino Crisis, that's all. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But whichever they decide to go with, I mean, look, I'm with you. I would prefer, like you said, Mega Man 11 came out and didn't really do too well, but I don't think Mega Man needs to be the focus straight away. You want to do a Mega Man?
They can afford to take risks now with how well they've been doing lately.
Yes,
I think they can.
If it was me off of this list, I'd go Dino Crisis first, then Dead Rising, and then maybe Onimusha. But that's me.
Yeah, a lot of people like samurai games, and Onimusha would be popular for sure.
Yes.
Especially with PlayStation players.
Yeah. So I would look at those 3 games personally. If you were gonna go right, which 3 should we get into production first and foremost? I think those 3, because as I said, I do think Dino Crisis is very, very, very wanted. I think Dead Rising will do well. It's a zombie game and it's a good, fun one at that. I don't think they'll have any issues of getting that out there and that selling. And like you mentioned as well, and Onimusha, man, Samurai. Look at the success of of Ghost of Tsushima. Look at the success that probably will very likely come from Rise of the Ronin. Onimusha would be a really, really good. I loved it, Onimusha back at that, bro. Like, I think that'd be another good one for him to look into. And then at some point, I said Ghosts and Goblins, because it kind of fits that, like, Death's Door kind of mold and stuff, and that was popular as hell. It has that sort of hard difficulty, not like Souls game hard, but that hard difficulty of a Cuphead kind of form, and very similar sort of graphically and everything of Cuphead. So that was successful as well as Death's Door. So I think you would find a crowd for that as well. I think the other 3 should come out first, but I think they should definitely give Ghosts and Goblins a look too. So we'll see, man. We'll see. As I said, they got a good lineup of older IP that they've got to work with. So, but first and foremost, Dino Crisis, bro. It's got to be Dino Crisis for the first out the door. and mind you, they got to work that remake in between. We already know that.
I know Crisis and RE Engine. Oh man, amazing.
And we already know they've got to like work on that particular remake or whatever other remakes out of this list that they do, whilst also doing the remake of Resident Evil 5 and Code Veronica, because we know they're remaking.
And there's that. Wasn't there that rumored new Monster Hunter that's coming this year or next year?
Yep. Next year. Yep. The Wilds. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That should be a freaking epic game too. I said that lately, man. I'm telling you, for the last several years, they've taken their shot and they haven't missed. Capcom. Yeah, they're just, man, they're one of my favorite studios too. Like, there's not a lot that they put out that I don't pick up. Just, you know, I've got Street Fighter, I've got every freaking Resident Evil known to freaking man.
It's really their dev one, what they call it, their dev one team, their A team. They've
Yes.
really brought Capcom back.
Oh, bro, yeah, brought them back from the brink. You know, like they really did. They brought them back from the brink, and now they're that, you know, juggernaut again. They really are. They're just powering through, bro. That, as I said, that they have to be. They have to be the number one Japanese developer out there right now, right at this point in time. Nobody else, as I said, and I'm not taking anything away from your Bandai Namco.
Sega would be close, but yes, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, Bandai would be close. But I think no one else really can touch them right now. Like, just can't. And you know, so hey, man, there's a good future ahead. It's regardless of what ends up happening next Monday. Whether it's Phil or whoever the hell is going to be bloody speaking, it's just a great time to be a gamer. This is why I say, don't only worry about things that you have control over, and as long as you're getting appeased and as long as you're happy as a gamer and you're getting the games that you want and where you want to play them, that's all you got to be worried about as a gamer. And such as gamer's life, bro. We've got an abundance, man. That's why I can't freaking finish anything, because my head's up been on a swivel going, I'm playing this. Man, I haven't even started, as I said, I haven't started Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't started freaking Prince of Persia. It's sitting there too. You know what? I'll get like a dragon, and I'm gonna buy it, and it's just gonna sit there. It's gonna have to wait its turn too, right? It's like, oh man, there's not enough time to. That's the problem. There's not enough time.
Bro, Alex is roasting these fanboys.
I know, bro. He loves
Funny,
it.
bro.
He loves it, bro. You know what? It was funny.
He's loving that salt.
He was actually loving it because he hadn't done an Xbox fanboy salt video for freaking ages. Every time he does one, it's always on the Sony fanboy, and he's explained why that is the case, right? But he was so over the moon that he finally got to do an Xbox fanboy salt. He's like, something different. But then, like, at the end of the video, he's like, but don't you worry, Sony fanboys. I got you at the end of the week. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm sitting there going, man. He's just brilliant, man.
Character.
Yeah, he is, man. He is absolutely hilarious. What do I call the god of the chair swing? Because, man, most people would get up on a chair, on one of those chairs that he gets on and stand on it and probably fall face first.
I will say I didn't like him at first, but he's grown on me. I'm sorry, I like him now. So
the king of the thigh slap, bro. Like that he was dancing in that video to someone. Who was he? He directed at someone. He's like, you're gonna get your own personal dance. He's like, exposed. It's like, oh my god. I love Alex. I love Alex, bro. He is freaking hilarious. The himbo, shout out to the himbo. No, he's just freaking hilarious, man. Like, he is great for a freaking laugh. I've told him several times, man. He seriously needs his own comedy show or go do some stand up comedy, man. Because like, the man's just naturally freaking funny. And when I first, it was funny. When I first ever seen him, right? You know who he reminded me of? Like, just to look at, I was like, damn, he looks a bit like Adam Sandler. Like, in the face, he looks like he could be related to Adam Sandler. But no, he is great. He's great value. He's a good human being. But you need people like him when you got so much BS and drama nearly on a daily basis in this community. And you get him who just lightens the mood, you know? And I love the fact that he gets all these fanboys and he just takes the piss out of them, but whilst also taking the piss out of them, like, then actually giving, you know, sensible, like, quotations to them and stuff like, what are you doing? like grow up, at the same time as making fun of them, and so that's another reason why I love him. Great content, great content. But no, folks, that is all we have for you this week. That first topic was a long one. I knew we'd go over an hour with it because there was a lot to unpack. There's a lot to get to. It's been the whole week. I feel sorry for any other gamer news trying to get any light shine on it, because all week it's just been all these Xbox rumors and fanboy meltdowns. And of course, we knew that the minute the rumors started and the Xbox fanboys started to melt down, that the PlayStation boys would take advantage of that and start stirring the pot and stoking the fires, and influencers stoking the fires, and yeah. But all I can say on that, and all I'll leave you with on that, is let's just wait till Monday, see what happens, and again, don't chill and fanboy for these corporations. Just worry about yourself and your own gaming needs. That's all you need to concern about. It's your money that you're spending on yourself for your own enjoyment. Don't worry about what a corporation's going to do, unless it's going to affect you. And if Microsoft takes their games somewhere else, it's not being taken away to do that. So you're fine. Calm down, go outside, get some sunlight, go have a swim, depending on where you are in the world. Don't want to go in winter because you'll freeze your tits off. But, Rye, did you want to let the fine folks know where they can find you, brother?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Resident Gamer 0 or on Xbox at Res Gamer 0.
There you go, folks. And of course, I want to thank everybody who joined us today, including my lovely girl Trin. Yes, she was in here early, Yobi, but she's gone to rock out to Toby something, some concert anyway. But no, it was good to see her show some love before she had to go out. Of course, my good buddy, my brother from another, the legendary one himself, Mr. Peace, Love, Life. Always fantastic to top it up with you. Of course, my Canadian bacon brother, man who likes, he knows I love saying it. Man who loves to ride his motorcycle butt naked. Noofy Nukem, always good to see you, sir. It's been a minute, we've got to catch up, man. Brother back, great to see you also up here in the chat. Timmy across the prod. We had the sister up in here earlier as well. Cozy Beluga, always fantastic to see her pop up in the chats and talk games with her. Always also like seeing her on camera, seeing her little birdie fly around. Love it. Rourke, always great to see you. Been regulating the chats for quite some time now. He'll have to be. He's definitely taken Tony's mantra as the everywhere man and the countdown man. Always in here. Great to see you, brother. And of course, all the lurkers. Can't forget you guys either. Appreciate each and every one of you. You don't have to be in the chat. As long as you're listening in, you're having a good time. That's all I care about. And I hope you've had a good time tonight. And again, we appreciate all the support from everybody, whether you're in chat or you're lurking, or you watch this later. Either way. But you can find me at the Moon Man on the X app there, of course. You can find me as well under that on the Xbox app, even though I'm on PC. If you're on Steam, you can add me on Steam. Again, same name. You will notice who I am and which account's mine. I have a profile picture of Lil Moon Man Alan Wake that Trin found for me and added some touches to. So yeah, that was nice of her to do. And of course, apart from that, you can find me here every Monday evening with the cerebral one, Pineapple Powerbomb Paul, talking all things wrestling on the Pop-Up Powerbomb podcast. And, of course, every Wednesday evening, most Wednesdays here with both Ryan and Chuck with the Backlog Bastards, where we talk everything gaming. We're unapologetic. We keep it a buck. And we always share our thoughts and how situations and news out there. Also on that note, shout out to the brother Chuck, who couldn't make it tonight. He's feeling a little bit under weather himself. had a bit of a rough trot of it lately when it comes to health and that. He's had COVID numerous times, but this time around also his youngest has caught COVID. So prayers and thoughts out to them. I hope little miss gets better soon, brother. Tell her to keep those fluids up, and you look after yourself too, and hopefully we see you back here next week.
Good girl.
But apart from that, hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the 4GQ TV channel if you haven't already done so. Apart from my podcast on here, you also have the 4GQ podcast that will be on tomorrow with Carlo, PK, Paul, and the animated one himself, Animated Evil. Cozy Beluga sometimes joins them on there as well. You've also got Cozy, Mahama, and Death Dealer, which is Dreadpool's wife, that have the all women's podcast that I believe on a Sunday evening. And of course, Carlo and Paul, they do an abundance of fantastic interviews with people from across all different industries, from gaming, movies to music, and everything else in between. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You'll be notified when either any content gets put up or any of us go live. But that's all for tonight, folks. Thank you all again. Much love. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy whatever you're playing gaming-wise too. And we'll see you right back here next Wednesday evening. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.